What is going on, everybody? It is episode 330 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I see a lot of you have been in the waiting room because we have a special guest today. We're really excited to announce Ethan Van Sciver is in the studio.
Introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ethan Van Sciver from Comic Artist Pro Secrets, president, CEO, and founder of All Caps Comics. And this is my comic book, Cyber Frog, of course.
Yeah.
Big part of Comic Skate.
We got
Comic Skate.
We got our own copies.
Oh, I hope you enjoy them.
It looks sick, actually. I like it.
How many year veteran of the comic book industry?
I forgot.
Yes.
30-year veteran of the comic book industry, world's most charming, disarming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Great big Sopranos fan.
Wow.
Used to be Star Wars. Now it's Sopranos. Trusted member of the media, which is why I'm happy to be with two other trusted members of the media.
I was like, I need the intro today. I need the classic Ethan Van Sciver intro.
It's great. I love that.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Justin Roiland of Rick and Morty fame, creator, along with Dan Harmon. He has been cleared, or charges have been dismissed based on domestic battery and false imprisonment. He has been vindicated, some might say. He released a statement. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some of the claims that have been made on Twitter, which are like, I shouldn't be laughing.
Does the court of public opinion excuse Justin Roiland? That is still yet to be determined.
If we can't prove it, do we really have a say in the matter? That's
it's
the
so
hard
funny.
part. Yeah, they're creepy. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about GLAAD, the gay and lesbian. It's the Coalition for Diversity in Hollywood. They have released their yearly breakdown of the amount of LGBTQ characters in Hollywood. Unfortunately, due to mass cancellations of TV shows in Hollywood because nothing is good anymore. I know this because Mary tells you every time we review something that nothing is good anymore.
Yeah.
Yes. There have been a massive a rash of cancellations that have led to a drop in LGBTQ representation. So we will be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about Velma. She made her way to the White House after all that work she did to make the greatest animated series that united the internet. Everyone loved it, and Joe Biden decided to say, I love you for making this fantastic piece of art. There's some sarcasm in there, believe it or not. There's just
piece of what?
Yes, exactly.
It's quite literally cool clock, Ahmed. Do you want to show it at the White House?
Yeah, basically.
But for a cartoon series.
I wanted originally to lead with that topic because I wanted them a picture of Velma at the podium at the White House, like with her doing something extremely vulgar like she would in the series. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Hollywood, the Screenwriters Guild has decided, the Writers Guild of America have decided that it is okay to use ChatGPT and AI created programs to write scripts or to help write scripts. You know, the end is near for the creatives in a lot of ways. So, Mary, if you're ready, we can get right into the start of the show.
We're ready.
We're ready, and we'll do cringe we'll do the lead topics, then we'll do cringe.
Okay, we've got some cringe for soon.
Ethan, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, here we go. But before we get started, I do want to do this. I promised in the Discord that I would mention this. Yesterday, I promised that to Sean Salter, he has made a comic book. It is a graphic novel called Silence Do-Good, Time Travel Agent. He has it up on Amazon right now. It's a paperback. It's for pre-order. It's the 13 pages of the upcoming graphic novel from the award-winning illustrator, Sean Salter, and writer Charles Knopf, I believe it's pronounced. Silence Do-Good is the fantastical tale of a 19-year-old time-traveling Benjamin Franklin. Young Ben is ripped from his own timeline and thrown into the middle of corporate war between two tech giants. He is now faced with a decision that could not only change his life, but also warp all of time. That sound good?
Pitch.
Does that sound good?
I say better than Private American's pitch.
Yeah, you know, everyone's got their own. Everyone chooses what they like. I like the art of it is good, and I promised him yesterday. He was talking to people in the Discord about this, and I said I would mention on the show. So if you go look up Silence Do Good on Amazon, you can pre-order a copy there. So worth mentioning.
Cool.
All right. Before we get started, we can also do this. We can bow our heads and say we can
pour one out for a real one.
Yeah,
Victoria
Alonso. she was fired from Marvel. There was you actually asked the question. Mary does this really good job of like she asks the questions that seem like they should be like simple to answer, but a lot of times you're like, I have no idea. Like when the story first broke, we talked about Victoria Alonso, and she goes, was she fired or did she quit? I'm like, I have no
A
idea.
lot of people,
Yeah.
quote unquote, walking away from their jobs. A lot of big executives
Yeah.
wanting to spend more time with their families.
Well, when you've made Marvel money for 17 years, is it really all that awful to like leave and go be at home?
But was her work finished ruining the MCU? I mean, that's the question. I don't think she was done yet.
She's gonna
Permanent
have
damage.
Yeah. Well, she'll have a lot of like she'll have her tentacles are still involved in all the things that are still yet to come out. Meaning like Daredevil Born Again. She's probably still technically involved in that. She would have been involved in Loki season 2 and all that stuff. So there's still plenty of CGI that can get ruined.
I guess it's confirmed that she was fired.
Yes.
So
Oh, good.
rest in pieces.
That's not good, man. That's not
Press
very nice.
S to spit.
Yes. Also, guys, I do want to mention that we will be continuing our rule here. So after every segment, we will be reading your super chats. But if you do want to interrupt and stop the flow of conversation so that we have to read your super chat, we will be reading all of them $20 and over right as we go. It says she was fired from the top job, and it was basically to save Kevin Feige. I mean, when you're the top guy, I feel like in things fail as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania failed.
You have to blame somebody.
Somebody has to take the fall, and it's very rarely the guy at the top.
How did they make 3 Ant-Man movies?
Nobody
How do you
knows.
make 3 Ant-Man movies? I don't understand. How many people out there are fantasizing about becoming very, very small?
Yeah.
Or very
It just
big.
seems like, does he become Giant Man in the movies too, or no?
He can still be giant. Yeah.
It should just be Giant Man then.
Yeah.
But you got to do both. You know, it's sort of like a disappearing act.
Yeah.
I guess so. I just doubt that there are too many people out there who are fantasizing about teaming up with fleas and ants. It just doesn't seem like a good fantasy.
Dane said the same thing. He was like, I don't believe that there are actual fans of Ant-Man.
Yeah, but he doesn't think people like Spider-Man either, and Spider-Man's like the
Really?
most popular comic book character of all time.
Did he
Everyone
say
likes
that?
Spider-Man.
Everyone likes Spider-Man. He doesn't. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm
Did he
sorry.
say that?
He thinks that people don't like the Flash, and I said people like the Flash too.
Well, yeah, the Flash is more appealing.
Yeah.
Than
Way more
Ant-Man.
appealing. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Like, yeah, no, it wasn't Spider-Man. That was a bad
Yeah,
take on my
Spider-Man's
part. Yeah,
obvious.
Everyone loves Spider-Man. So she's out, and there was also they give this really funny interaction that they mentioned that she was at the Oscars and was like she got to take a photograph with like these 2 female photographers and basically said like,
Look at this, 2 women.
Yes, there's women working in Hollywood. Amazing.
We've worked so hard
Yeah.
to get here, and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. and
Imagine
then-
just being one of those photographers and be like, what are you talking about?
I'm a photographer. I'm not an executive. Like, that's not the same thing. That's like a dude going
It's
up
like,
to a male
oh,
janitor.
look at you, a female with a job.
It would be like the CEO going up to a male janitor and being like, we have worked so hard as
Yeah.
men to run these companies.
Kevin
Mr.
Feige
Janitor."
goes up to a janitor at his office building and is like, we've worked so hard to get here, my good sir.
I love it. And you mentioned that MODOK was a problem, and that falls on her because she was head of visual effects.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly a terrible job here. A terrible job creating MODOK for the screen. You know, as an artist, it's ridiculous. How about like not clowning on these characters that Jack Kirby created with your approval of visual effects? And like you were saying, there must have been like 25 different versions of MODOK created by different artists, and this is the one that they went with.
Yeah.
This is the one that you went with, Victoria. This is ridiculous. Great job making Marvel even more of a clown show than it already was.
He's not menacing looking.
No,
ugly.
he's silly. Yeah, of course.
And
you
they
brought
also
up
made
that,
you look at his butt.
Yes, I heard about that. That's unfortunate. And you brought up a beautiful image that Jack Kirby did of MODOK, and he's terrifying. Even with this silly kind of, character design, MODOK could be scary.
There are all these wrinkles on his face in that illustration, and then in this one, it just looks like you
He looks like the guy from
lazily
What's his name?
zoomed in on his face. I
Yeah.
don't know.
He looks like George Costanza.
Somebody in the chat
George
literally
Costanza.
somebody in the chat says I thought that was Jason Alexander.
Bruh.
RJ McCready in the chat is right. It is apparently Jason Alexander who just maybe that was like the piece of art they used. Like somebody was watching an episode of Seinfeld when they were doing the pre-production for this. That'd be good. And also, guys, I do want to at least just touch on this. If you guys have been paying attention at all to the Zachary Levi and Rock and Dwayne Johnson. I'll never call him Dwayne Johnson. He's The Rock. As far as I'm concerned, he's The Rock. There's kind of become like a blame game that's being done right now about who is responsible for what failure with Shazam. I actually, as much as I like Zachary Levi, wish he was just not engaging with this stuff. Like he's interacting with people on Twitter. He's like, oh, I think the big problem is that it wasn't marketed properly. And I think he should have waited, and maybe it lowers confidence in your product when you're second guessing it just a month or just a week after a movie comes out. It's just not.
This language is just confusing, though. It says The Rock didn't allow Zachary Levi to cameo in a post-credit for Black Adam.
Yeah.
Allow is such a strong word there. He wasn't in charge of decisions about Black Adam.
The Rock would have had the ability to veto, I think. I think he has enough star power to be able to veto.
Yet that star power didn't make Black Adam into the success that he wanted it to be. So what is it really worth?
I mean, but that's hindsight being 2020. Like, they didn't know that beforehand, that it wasn't going to work out that well. And both of these films do struggle with the fact that they come at the time right after Peter Safran and James Gunn took over.
And the post-credit for Black Adam was chosen so wisely.
Yes. So it is a bummer to see. I would like to see them be a little bit more... Like, one of my big problems is that there's no decorum amongst celebrities anymore. As much as I was okay with Jenna Ortega like trashing the writers' room about Wednesday because she understood the characters better than the writers did, I do think that that a lot of these celebrities don't understand the power of being able to be a little bit more quiet about these things. So
him posting this on his Instagram story with like the upside down smiling emoji is kind of a bad look.
Yeah, but I like Zachary Levi, so my hope is that he ends up going on to better things.
I like him too. This must be so frustrating. I mean, working for the DCEU right now must be crazy. Up until now, there's been no clear leader. I mean, James Gunn coming in hopefully is going to rearrange a lot of this stuff, and it's going to be great. But I think The Rock was going for it. I think The Rock was really going for being the next James Gunn.
I think he absolutely wanted to take control of it and have it redone and built around his character. And
Black Adam.
That Black Adam. Yeah. Well,
I mean, nobody knows who Black Adam is. Nobody. They're making Ant-Man movies over at Marvel. Yeah. And, I mean, to start with Black Adam over there and get somebody like The Rock and try to get America and the world to care about Black Adam is
It'll
just
work
backwards.
Because it's The Rock.
That's what everybody thought.
That was the logic.
Yeah. But also, I mean, they didn't put them on screen together, and they're obviously they battle in the comics all the time. So that makes no sense.
It should have been one movie. Yeah. That's it. One movie, Shazam, and then Black Adam is the villain, and that would have been perfect. Two big stars. I like Zachary Levi too. I think he's a really nice guy, and he played the kindness kid on Sesame Street.
Did he?
Yes.
I didn't know that. See, I know him from the masterpiece Chuck, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And when he was, and somebody also I was reading some of the comments, and somebody's like, "Look at the 50-year-old chubby guy." I'm like, he's not chubby. He's he's in good shape, and he's like 40. Like, what are you talking about?
Wait, who?
They were saying that about Zachary Levi. They're like, look at the chubby.
Levi?
They were saying like, look at the chubby 50-year-old guy. I'm like,
what?
He's in good shape and 40. Why are you like? That's not even just lying. That's just like gaslighting.
Just bizarre.
And it's like he's like in the picture they're posting it on. He's got like this really strong jawline. I'm like, if he's somebody you make fun of,
looking like the Chad meme.
Yeah. Then I'm like, then who the hell are the rest of us? If he's somebody you make fun of, like that's not fair. It's like that. Did you ever see that meme of the video? It's like it's a guy who's literally the living embodiment of the Chad meme. He's like, tell everyone why you're single. I'll go first. And then there's just a whole barrage of people who then cut to themselves and like, if this guy is single, who the hell has a chance in the world if this? He's like literally, he's got the big strong
Zachary
jaw.
Levi just wasn't roided up enough.
Yeah, well, these days that is the way to do it out there. They always talk about how it's they eat nothing but chicken and rice. And they work out a lot. I'm like, but you don't do that in 3 months. Like, you don't get that big in 3 months.
Takes time.
It's not a thing.
All right, Mary, let's get everyone prepped for cringe because today's is particularly
intense.
Today's is particularly bad. Should we start with the tweets? I think we should start with the cringe tweets first.
Yeah.
So if you guys remember, fairly recently we talked about the Aragorn situation with the guy who was able to see himself with representation through the Lord of the Rings. This is actually maybe somehow cheesier and worse than that. You want to read it?
I don't have it pulled up,
so
actually.
I'll read it here. So here's Lyra. She says, Lord of the Rings has been my favorite thing for like 30 years, and when I found out that Nazis love Lord of the Rings, I had to pause and think through what Nazis love about it. Because here's the thing. It's really important not to be on the same page as Nazis.
Yeah, and then she replied and said, I think Nazis fundamentally do not understand Lord of the Rings, and the reasons they love it are the opposite of what Tolkien intended. But my point is, if you're ever interested in the same thing as Nazis, it really ought to give you an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
They liked art quite a lot.
Yeah.
And beer. So
maybe that's
oh shit.
now we're in trouble. Yeah.
The absolute state of like pop culture being turned into this weird political battleground. Like, one of the things that's been interesting for me is like, because my Twitter is mostly me like talking about awesome shows and movies that I love, I then get like people who watch my stuff that I know if they knew about this show, they would just hate my guts, likely, because they have like pronouns in their bio, or they have anime avatars with the and they're talking about this show that I love. But if they watched any of the content that we make, they would likely think a lot less highly of us, because they tend to be very judgmental about people who don't agree with them. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a bummer to see pop culture get turned into this weird sphere of political influence.
Specifically fantasy genre related TV shows or movies or books or whatever. Like, that's specifically targeted. The fans of those things are specifically targeted and called racists.
Oh yeah, if you notice like a lot of the stuff that like network TV is awful around the board, is awful across the board. But if it's not fantasy or genre, it tends to have, like, Breaking Bad was great, which led into Better Call Saul, which everybody still pretty much loves, right? Mm-hmm. As long as they don't feel like there's a recruiting ground for kids, they'll leave it. They're like, there's no social capital in messing with this. We might as well leave it alone. So Better Call Saul is allowed to be made in the way they want. They get to make Reacher the way that Reacher needed to be made, as a military type show, or The Terminalist, right? They leave it alone because they know it's middle-aged dads watching it, and the middle-aged dads aren't going to be their target audience.
They also palpably hate that middle-aged dad audience.
Yes.
And we've talked about Taylor Sheridan before, and that's what I think he is. I think he is like hateful toward his own audience.
This is an excuse essentially to intrude and change Lord of the Rings. Essentially, now I've never heard that Nazis in particular love Lord of the Rings, but I think everybody kind of loves Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So if everybody loves really popular pop culture IPs, that would also include, I guess, people that disagree with Lyra the Tran Without Fear, and therefore. Lyra has every right, and people who think like Lyra, to go in there, intrude, and change the work of incredible creators like Tolkien. We're already seeing that. I'm sure you guys already covered Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and all of the work of other people who have created things that everyone loves. Roald Dahl. I was sitting there trying to find Roald Dahl.
Oh.
The idea of rewriting Roald Dahl and taking out words like fat and stupid by... These are generally fat and stupid people that are doing that, but
or even the word pretty, they are trying to take
anything
out.
That's judgmental in any single way, rewriting that, the audacity of that. But this is the excuse. Yep. This is right here, what you would use to rewrite and change great art that you had nothing to do with.
It's not long before they write the hit pieces about Tolkien.
Oh yeah,
they already to investigate his character, pull up Tolkien's proverbial N-word tweets.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
The early history version of N-word tweets, whatever.
Here's what you need to know about Tolkien as a person before you watch Rings of Power season 2.
Yeah, it's funny too because they did the same thing with the James Bond novels now. But what I think it is, I think it's just an extremely gifted capitalist movement. They want to make edited versions so they can sell you the unedited version, and then they have both versions. And they can just make more money off of it. And it's just a fantastic way for them to sell to all audiences. And that's what me and Dane would say as a joke, late stage capitalism.
Well, it's just, what do people like? What is it? What in the culture is creating people the way that they are now? What exactly is it the young men are attaching themselves to and enjoying? And how can we F with that? Yeah. See, I edited my curse.
There it was.
Thank you.
Yes. How can we F with that, change it, take control of it? And co-opt culture, essentially. Yep. So Lord of the Rings is next.
And they're right. Just him being white and Christian is probably enough to write the hit pieces for them anyways.
So
I mean, it doesn't matter.
obviously held opinions which they would find abhorrent today.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because history changes so fast. It's one of the funniest things about it is like people take for granted just how quickly things go in and out of style, like how quickly what was acceptable today will be unacceptable tomorrow, and most things seem to be going that way. Like all of the words you're using. Who is it? Whoopi Goldberg seems to be the one who gets in the most trouble for this lately, oddly enough. But she's like kind of protected by liberal media.
Yeah, why does she get in
like,
trouble so often?
because like she just gets to say whoops, sorry, and then they forgive her. So she gets her pass on it. And we've got one more, Mary. We got this video, and this is maybe worse. So I'm gonna put this full screen.
Unique.
Guys, you can watch this, and you can, Ethan, if you want to see it, you can see it over here.
I think I can see it on my screen.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Do you,
let's start from me.
if a girl looks at you, walk up to her and say, hey, do you always stare down charming and dangerous men? Or is it just me? It's a funny line that, will get her attention, spike her attraction, and make you come off a little too cocky, but, pair it with a little smile or smirk, and she'll vibe with it. So try it out. Maybe it'll get you your next girlfriend.
His laugh where he just like just gasps for air.
Look, he's working his way. Andrew Tate is in jail. He's filling a marketplace.
But I saw someone quote tweet this and say, look, this guy needs to first of all dye his hair darker, get a haircut, get a skincare routine, look directly face on at the camera,
and button up your shirt.
Yeah, button up that shirt. Don't show people your chest like that.
No, even
very
just one more button is more
nipples
acceptable.
protruding,
Like,
very disrespectful.
one more button can still look like what would be the word for the look he's attempting to go for? Smoldering? Is he trying
wants to be
go for
charming and
smoldering?
dangerous.
So like one more button still leaves plenty of manhood unbuttoned there without it looking like he just forgot to button half the shirt.
He
That's all I'm
definitely
saying.
has options to appear more charming and dangerous. I'll just say that.
Yes.
But that was painful.
And like I think the skincare routine would help, but I'm not going to hold that against him. Haircut, maybe put it up. Maybe put it up in a bun.
For some reason, women aren't really into blonde guys.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
You're a woman. You know the answer to this.
But when they saw you with bleached hair,
yes,
they loved that.
They loved that.
so.
Yes. I one time lost a bet here on this show, and I had to dye my hair blonde, and it stayed blonde for a couple of months.
Because it worked.
Yes. Yeah.
The women loved
worked.
it.
Yeah.
He was literally swarmed with compliments.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the doctor's office, some nurses were very complimentary of it, and I was like, I felt like they got paid off. It felt like a thing.
It's a psyop.
Yeah, like if it wasn't for HIPAA laws, I figured maybe somebody from the office called there and said, go ahead and compliment Brett on his hair so that he doesn't feel so bad about it. So, all right, guys, we are going to get started. So if you saw the news, it dropped late yesterday. Rick and Morty's own Justin Roiland has been... The charges against him for domestic violence, for false imprisonment, have been dismissed by an Orange County district attorney.
What did he do?
He was accused of domestic battery and of false imprisonment of an ex-girlfriend. And these charges were dropped in court yesterday, which is interesting because a lot of people were pointing out, like, this case has been going on for like 2+ years.
Really?
But it wasn't
I
made
hadn't
public.
heard about it
but it wasn't
before.
made public until recently. So it's very interesting that it made it all the way this far
Now,
into the legal process.
How do you false imprison your girlfriend? I don't understand. I'd like to know.
Close a door?
I
Like,
guess a barricade
A
situation.
barricade where handcuffs involved, a radiator, ether, duct tape.
I don't know.
Wasn't that like a big thing that was going around when all of the Louis C.K. stuff was coming on? Some people said that he blocked the door. Some people said that he didn't block the door.
He didn't like actually physically block the door, but it's like if you're jacking off in front of the door, no one wants to get close to you to move around you. Like
it's a make-believe barrier.
You're kind of psychologically blocking the door.
It's a make-believe barrier.
Yeah, like no one's gonna step closer. You know what I mean? So it would send the wrong message. That's a whole other story. But now he's claiming that all of this was a false allegation.
Yeah, and a lot of people believe that the reason that the network didn't work to like help him, the reason that Adult Swim was so quick to throw him under the bus, is that everyone just hated working with him. They said that he was immature and that he hadn't really done any work since season 2 of Rick and Morty.
Did any of his colleagues know about this case?
Like as far as
I
I
feel
knew,
like
most
if they
of the,
disliked him so much, they would have publicized it.
all of the allegations that I heard were more about him being immature to work with and hitting on the female.
Seems like
And
it.
then by the way, all of the people that like end up getting in trouble for this in Hollywood that work in executive roles, they literally look like the same person.
Not R. Kelly.
Not R. Kelly. No, he
All
wasn't an executive. That's a different genre.
And he wasn't white.
Yes.
Hello.
Yep. And it's a funny thing, after I was looking into this last night and we were talking about Me Too allegations, given that it's 2023 now, I wanted to go back and look through, I just started Googling, all the way back to 2019. Obviously, everyone remembers Johnny Depp, but I brought up a list of a lot of these cases, and it's
all been memory hold.
It's a hilariously sad statement on our culture, how many of these things that were supposedly accusations of actors and producers and stuff that just I didn't remember at all, and I've been following this stuff for years. So let's
look at a Indian burial ground of
I mean,
allegation after allegation.
Do you have some Hollywood award show style memoriam of Me Too allegations?
Well, every year
it's true what they say. I'm not the first to say this, but Bernie Madoff was indicted to cover for financial crimes, and Harvey Weinstein was indicted to cover for other people doing sexual crimes.
And here's the funny thing is, he's always the first name on the list, so we have that here. So here's Harvey Weinstein. Number 2 was Morgan Freeman. Does
No idea.
anybody remember
What did
that?
he do? Morgan Freeman.
I have no clue. So it says, proof that the Me Too movement accusers coming forward is nowhere near its conclusion. Beloved actor Morgan Freeman had been accused by 8 different women, claiming that he had said sexually inappropriate things and engaged in non-consensual touching and groping. Does anybody remember that?
Nope.
No, I don't remember that. And there's
Totally
a $20
memory
one
hold.
right there.
Bro Cody said, "Get Ant-Man out of here. This cyber frog neighborhood."
This is Cyberfrog neighborhood.
This is
this is
Town.
Cyberfrog
Yes.
neighborhood.
So that's
right.
kind of like that. That's like the Jussie Smollett version of it, where this is MAGA country. this is
Frog
Cyberfrog.
Town.
This is
Yeah.
Yes, somebody, somebody fabricate a hate crime where they say this is Cyber Frog Town.
Frogtown is and Frogtown is an actual. There's actually like a place in Minnesota called Frogtown. Like in Minneapolis. You don't want to go there for the most part. Like,
Why?
Oh, okay.
You don't, in general, the North
bad part of
Minneapolis.
town.
Yeah. Well, that was the funniest part the saddest part of all of the stuff that happened in Minnesota in 2020 is as bad as it was, and the cops there are even worse than what you see on TV because the Minneapolis Police Department is just horribly corrupt.
Wow.
So we're gonna go through some more of these names. Kevin Spacey. Everyone remembers
yeah.
Kevin
Remember that.
Spacey. Jeffrey Tambor.
Didn't remember.
You remember
Oh,
that
yeah. I do
Louis
remember
C.K.
that.
Yes.
Everyone remembers
Louis
that.
CK, yeah.
David Copperfield. I don't
idea.
remember that. Maybe because he's a magician, he made it just disappear.
He made his underpants
Yeah,
disappear
that's
in front of a lot of young ladies. I think that was the main problem. Yeah.
Yikes.
He's he should have put a restriction on that one. You had to sign a waiver before going to see David Copperfield there. Then we have R. Kelly. So
yeah.
He's
It's just the most salacious stories lived on.
Yeah. Scott Baio.
No
What did
idea.
Scott Baio do?
So it says, everybody loves Chachi, but the actor who played him, Scott Baio, is in the middle of a major fight for his good name. On January 27th, 2017, it was a fateful day. Who came for? Oh, wait, let's see. It says. Let me restart here. It says Charles in charge. His Charles in charge co-star as an adult is violated. Somebody from the age of 14.
Yikes.
Okay. It says.
See, this is it. Harvey Weinstein was the sacrificial lamb, and then the rest of Hollywood kind of got off scot-free.
That's right. Free Harvey Weinstein. Free Harvey Weinstein.
That's getting clipped.
Clip that right now.
No, don't clip
that's
that.
absolutely getting clipped. It says his Charles in Charge co-star as a star and an adult when he violated her starting at the age of 14 and carrying on until she was 17. Baio took to Facebook to deny the allegations vehemently.
Thanks
Yikes.
for clearing that up.
Yeah,
Moving on with my day.
Jeremy Piven, Tom Brokaw, Bill Cosby. Everyone remembers
yes.
Bill Cosby. T.J. Miller. I remember that one just because that had lasting implications for Deadpool because he was in Deadpool at the time. Matt Lauer. I remember that.
I loved that. That was my favorite one. I'm like, we got Matt Lauer. Yes, get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Yes.
We got to get rid of him.
Yeah, don't like him.
Ed Westwick. I don't even know who Ed Westwick is.
He was on Gossip Girl.
Oh, that's why I don't know.
Yeah.
So then Charlie Rose, James Toback. Nobody remembers any of most of these cases.
This is just what men do when they have no consequences.
And a lot of power in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Charlie Rose would walk around naked. I remember him too. He'd walk around naked in front of his maids.
No, of course.
That's what he was doing.
course.
It's my
And then-
house.
Who flashed Pamela Anderson?
Tim Allen.
Yeah, it's like
Tim Allen
that.
from
It's like,
Home Improvement.
oh, it was the 90s. Like
That's
Everybody was doing it.
Every- so
everyone
many
was just
times-
flashing each other.
Half the time on this show, I have to make excuses by telling Mary, look, you weren't around. It was the 90s. It was a different time to be alive. I actually posted a tweet yesterday, like a picture from the Spice Girls movie of them with a bunch of aliens. And it just pointed out, like, there was a time when there was a movie where, like, aliens came down to Earth and said, take me to your leader. And we sent the Spice Girls. Like, it was just a different time to be alive. Like, you wouldn't
That
understand.
makes it sound wholesome, but did you get flashed by Tim Allen in the 90s, Brad?
No, I did not.
I did.
No.
You
did.
could, like,
My truth, yes.
I didn't end up in any of the same rooms as him, so I can't speak for any of the other men in his life.
So you're Tim Allen.
Yes. No.
You've never
no.
been seen in the same room with
You'll never
Tim
know.
Allen.
You'll never know. Do you want to go through some of the things against Jeremy, against Roiland? Like,
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
first I'm going to read out his statement that he posted on Twitter. He said, I've always known that these claims were false, and I never had any doubt that this day would come. I'm thankful that this case has been dismissed, but at the same time, I'm still deeply shaken by the horrible lies that were reported about me during this process. Most of all, I'm disappointed that so many people were so quick to judge without knowing the facts, based solely on the word of an embittered ex trying to bypass due process and have me, quote unquote, canceled.
but the thing is, it wasn't in the public eye for the first 2 years, so it really wasn't an attempt to cancel him. It actually was an attempt to take things through the criminal justice system.
Yeah, it was what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, what you're actually supposed to do in these situations,
in an
which
official
is
capacity.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
a
it
lot
just
of
didn't
us-
work out.
Yeah.
So we don't know what really happened with the domestic violence charge. It doesn't really matter. But I don't think that he has been exonerated in the public eye by any means, because there are
Twitter
still
hates
all
him.
of these allegations of him messaging underage girls and adult women. Crazy things.
I have the one from Allie. Let's show the one from Allie.
Yes, this one from a musician named Allie Gertz, who was and is an adult still.
Thank God.
She said in this tweet, I'll say more later. For now, I'll just share the types of funny DMs Justin Roiland would send me. Posted and deleted this last night because I was worried about any backlash. But this dude made me, someone who wrote a Rick and Morty concept album, never watch his show again.
Never
It's
meet
just
you-
embarrassing to admit that you wrote a Rick and Morty concept album. So
But also never meet your heroes.
stunning and brave for coming out and saying that out loud, Queen. Go off. So here's what he sent her. I guess this is a screenshot from back in 2015.
And again, we can't verify.
Yeah, no
whether this is
verification
real
that
or
any
not.
of this is real.
I don't like. Again, then they would say, "Why would she lie about it?" But we all know that there's
we don't
insane
even know.
people-
Maybe she sent responses to these messages but deleted them later. Who knows? But this is just a string of messages that he sent her. Can you write a song about 9 dicks of different sizes and ethnic origins hanging above your face, and then in the lyrics describe how they each splatter you with semen, but, important, the larger message of the song is about how we are all the same and no more racism. And then he said, who is this Lee character? Why does he or she have to find parking? Why are you a huge beep? That's the F.
Yes, we're not
slur.
using that
Answer
word.
later. And then he said 1 minute later, sorry, Allie, I'm okay. My 4th glass of wine. This was all off record. Don't break my trust, you a-hole. JK, you're all right.
The tone of that last text is just one that says, like, I've rung a bell that can't be unrung.
He had his oh shit moment.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm screwed. It's also
1 minute later while you're still pissed drunk.
I mean, to be fair, in the writers' room, the idea of bukkake as a way of solving racism sounds very South Park to me.
Not Rick and Morty.
Just not a very
You know,
thing
guys,
you send
I don't
to
know if you know
another
this.
human being that you don't know well.
You have to be a certain level of IQ points to understand Rick and Morty. Few people realize this, but it's really only for the high IQ galaxy brain geniuses out there.
Yes.
I wouldn't know that. I'm stupid. So there were a lot of other allegations listed here from women who claim that it was all when they were underage.
Yeah, that seems to be the big one that nobody has an answer to right now. That a lot of people are saying,
none of it is confirmed.
Yeah, people are saying like, great, you've been acquitted, or you've had the charges dismissed against you about falsely imprisoning your ex-girlfriend. Now answer to the charges that the public has made against you.
What do you do when it's not a charge and it's just people saying that you're a weirdo, which is probably what you are.
He probably is a weirdo, but without proof, I can't know that for sure. And I'm not going to.
The guy makes a cartoon. I mean, this is the whole thing. Your fans are probably going to be young teenagers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I always thought that was the worst thing about being like an adult in NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys or something like that. Your fans are 12.
Yeah.
They love you, but they're 12 years old. Got to be kind of rough, but look, I believe all of this.
You totally believe that?
I speak Ali Gertz's name here. I see you. I believe this, sure.
Same thing with a lot of like Disney stars growing up in the spotlight, and all of their fans are younger than them.
Yeah.
Like I heard this podcast with Mitchell Musso on it. He was on Hannah Montana, and he said that he hooked up with fans all the time. And I was like, I don't know if you want to say that
Maybe
out loud in a public platform, because they were literal children.
Somebody needs to make like a movie about like for the average boy band star. It's not about like the first time around. It's about the reunion tour. That's when it finally goes right for them, when they're finally an adult and their fans are adults too. Yeah. And then they're like, now it's gonna be good.
So here are some other posts. One said in September 2015, Justin Roiland followed me on Twitter and I was 16. Of course, I was so excited because I loved Rick and Morty at the time, so I messaged him first and we started talking every now and then. Some of it very casual, but some parts were 100% weird. So according to screenshots shared by this Twitter user, Justin Roiland asked this minor to run away from school and go into sex slavery? I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. He also allegedly addressed her as a F slur,
He seems to love that word, which is
called her a jailbait,
creepy.
And said that she would go into camming, let's just say that, once she turns 18. A different user said that he asked her when she was underage if she was going to get Morty tattooed on her boob. Another one said, Justin Roiland has a track record of using social media to hit up and exploit vulnerable people and minors, and I believe this is an open secret in the industry. He used my sexual trauma and my love for Rick and Morty to groom me. I'm sorry, that sentence is just...
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
And I am one of so many. I am glad this is public.
It's just like, I don't think a lot of these celebrities understood that what the internet was going to do to them. Like, I maintain a lot of time, I think the most scared people in the world are 80s rock stars who lived at a time when this behavior was just not just okay, but encouraged. And they wake up every day terrified that somebody's going to come out and make some claim against them from when they were...
You're an animator on Rick and Morty. You're not a rock star. You're
kind of
a
are.
loser.
No, they are. They're still considered rock stars. They're still people that like look over like $1 million, billion dollar properties. So whether we think they're dorky or not, and the glasses he's wearing are far. He's got like these glasses that like curve upwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks like his name should be
Librarian.
Jan. Like he looks like his name's Jan. But like they're still famous people with like lots of people following them.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that at some point somebody like, let's just say Mick Jagger, is going to have to answer for the fact that he has had sex with all of his fans over the course of like 70 years?
I think there's Steven Tyler just recently had like a very serious case come out against him. So yeah, like I think that does happen
and
to
then,
a good amount of them.
Who was it from Kiss that recently did an interview?
Gene Simmons, would it be, or one of these guys?
Was it Simmons? I don't think it was Simmons, because Simmons is always in the news for being just a nutso on Twitter.
Yeah,
he's just insane on Twitter.
I'm not sure. I don't remember, but he like did this interview, and they kind of hinted at the question like, well, what would you have done if you had, risen to fame in the age of Snapchat, or when everyone can film everything and record what you're saying and doing? And he just like totally dodged the question, but it was obvious that he would have been canceled. Mm-hmm. And you're just basking in the glory of having risen to fame at a time when you didn't have to face those risks.
Yeah, those celebrities today, they don't like it. I'm sure those young actors are not having a lot of fun with stuff like that. This is one of those ones that's hard, because your instinct is to protect minors, and you want, and it's also very, 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 very easy to believe that a famous cartoon show animator is a piece of crap in Hollywood because there's so many pieces of crap in Hollywood, right? But also, I can't know. So what am I supposed to say?
Well, these are nerds that gain power through their art. It's like they couldn't...
Nerds that gain power.
Theater nerds.
That's
theater
all it
nerds
is.
and art nerds that became powerful in Hollywood at a time when they wanted to both get back at the people that threw them into lockers when they were in school and have
but
sex
get back
with the
at women too.
Yeah.
This guy wasn't getting girls in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, now he can basically, he's got power over, this whole demographic of young women.
That's why we love Chet Hanks here and not Colin Hanks, because Chet Hanks is a Chad and Colin Hanks looks like he got tossed into lockers in high school. He does. There's one right there from Steve Ryman.
Steve Ryman said, 80s rock stars probably aren't too worried, Brett. Simple headline, Diamond Dave touched my no-no square in 84. Local grandmother reports. People were still having kids at that point. Chances are they had better things to do.
That's actually a fair like representation of what is probably right. So it's the 90s guys that have to worry about it.
People were incentivized to, sell their trauma coins.
Victimhood wasn't a thing like in the 80s and the 90s. I think maybe the 90s is when it started to creep in. The idea of being a victim didn't have so much currency attached to it. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I laugh when I see like characters in TV shows that go like, I'm not a victim. I'm like, nowadays they're like, I'm totally a victim.
Yeah,
I'm totally a victim, and they're excited about like they actually get giddy at the idea of the fact that they're about to be able to cash in on all of that sweet trauma, all those sweet trauma coins.
I just don't understand how in like this day and age you don't understand as a public figure the consequences of DMing randoms.
Yeah.
Like everyone screenshots everything.
Yeah.
How do you
Internet's
not
forever.
understand that?
Yeah.
Like I get the feeling that these messages, all these screenshots are probably real.
Yeah.
Maybe editing some things out, some parts out that make them enthusiastic participants in this. But
That's a good, there's a good point.
It's
you
probably
can't see
real.
whether she responded or not. Because that changes the context. If it's two consenting adults and they both respond to one another, I don't care. He could say all the weird crap in the world he wants to this lady. I didn't care when Armie Hammer said weird stuff to people either.
I did. I love that. That was great. He said he wanted to cut off his girlfriend's toes and carry them around with him and all this stuff. I was like, wow, this guy's
he
something
said he
else.
wanted to what did he say? He wants to barbecue
Yes.
one of her ribs. It's just like, dude, are you hungry or horny?
That's actually, it's funnier to think that he only said stuff like that, like when he was hangry, like he
Yeah.
really needed to eat and he just couldn't get to food. So it drove
Once
him into like a
again,
weird sexual perversion.
Nerd with power.
No,
No,
he's too much of a-
powerful. The family has money, and he can get away with anything. It's like at that point, just regular interactions with females
His
are
family
not good
was
enough.
his family were multimillionaires, like of the Armie
Yeah.
Hammer family fortune and stuff like that. There's a
Yeah.
$20 one right there, Mary, from Corey.
Corey Boleg said, please sing with me. No, don't touch me there. This is my no-no square.
I'm not. I have a horrible singing voice, so I can't do that for you.
Is this a reference to something?
It's Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched Rick and Morty, to be transparent
All
right
right,
now.
all right. Should we move on, or do we want to just keep talking about how every time one of these famous executives or people on these shows get in trouble, it's like, well, of course. Did we not expect that? Right?
Yeah, I mean, just look at the show he made.
Yeah.
It's almost inhuman not to. I mean, for me, like the worst thing ever was to find out Alfred Hitchcock tried to, get with Tippi Hedren. I was like, no, not Alfred Hitchcock. He's so pure and innocent.
Can you scream
Crisis Party.
Thank you, guys.
What is this?
See, when the crisis meter fills up, it triggers a crisis party.
Oh.
Yes. That was good. Usually I mix them between different TV show and movie scenes that I cut together with Crisis Party. That one was Phil Labonte and Carter, who are both friends of ours who work here. See?
Making it rain.
Exactly. That's the whole
Thank
point,
you, guys.
right?
I think that means it's super chat time.
It is super chat time. All right, go for it.
I feel mean because I'm the one that has to read these messages, but all right. Sorry in advance. Not Alan Rogers said, looking real skinny, E. Psych.
Oh,
Shut up, you.
I don't know if you guys are like close like that or what.
No, we're not at all. Enemies.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. The Almighty Truffles said, "Hey Mary, check your DMs on Twitter. My buddy sent you a DM that you'll all enjoy and get a kick out of."
Like, I don't know if
seems
that's a great,
ominous.
like, if you're a guy, that's a good email. That's a good message to
Yeah,
get. If
send
you're
it
a
to
girl,
Brett.
that's a lot scarier to get. Like, hey, I got this thing that you're going to find hilarious.
Send
Like,
it to Brett. then
Guys
we'll
are
look
more
at it.
likely to open that out of sheer curiosity. Women have a far better sense of self-preservation.
Yes,
Yeah. No
indeed.
offense, potatoes for Seamus. Johnny Beck sent us a thumbs up. Thank you. Dark Gift Comics Presents said, "Hail EVS, hail Comicsgate, hail PCC."
I interact with Dark Gift Comics on Twitter from time to time.
Oh, good
Twitter.
guy.
Martin Santiago said, "Quote unquote, start a family, Brad."
Look, Hannah Claire's not here, and you cannot make me. Like, you can't.
Is this
like,
Hannah Claire's alt account?
Yeah, does Hannah Claire in her free time go by Martin Santiago? She doesn't look like a Martin
That was
Santiago.
just so out of nowhere, though. It was like, so anyways, The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it's like, and Brett, start a family.
The Quaff said, "Hi, Comicsgate."
Hello.
Oh, also, I would like you to let everyone know, because there are going to be people in the audience here who know who you are, and then some who may not. Do you want to tell everyone what happened with Patreon and Subscribestar? Because that is a very, very, very good thing to tell people about, because more people need to know about those things going on.
Oh, yeah. Patreon actually reached out to me and just said, hey, this tweet that you tweeted a year ago regarding Disney and the parental rights education bill. They said you're going to have to remove that. We are monitoring your activity off our platform. And my tweet was, I was like, what did I say? And I went back and looked at it, and I thought it was, pretty ordinary. I was basically just saying the problem with this is that the Disney Corporation, is framing the Parental Rights and Education Act as a matter of gay rights, which it just isn't.
Yeah.
How dare you? Like,
Don't say gay.
That's right. Don't say gay. No. The parents are saying between the ages of 4 and 8, please don't talk about things that are confusing to little children. We want to maintain their innocence. So I just said it shouldn't be framed as a matter of gay rights. It's parental rights, not gay rights. And Patreon asked that I take that tweet down.
Yeah.
So I took my Patreon down, and I moved it over to Subscribestar, where I'm at right now. If you want to follow me on Subscribestar, that'd be awesome. Subscribestar, Ethan Van Sciver. I was shocked by that. I just don't think these platforms should be monitoring anyone's activity off of their own platform. And furthermore, I don't think they should be censoring speech like that, especially since that was an entirely reasonable thing that I said.
Off-platform censorship and off-platform monitoring is one of those things that I think everyone knew was eventually going to be coming. But it is one of the strangest things to see start happening, because it is a soft version of a social credit score for a lot of these things.
It might be one thing if you were like, I can't repeat what you might be tweeting that actually would draw some ire, but like you were criticizing a mega corporation rather tepidly
Pretty much,
on their business practices, but they're all aligned.
But
so.
Victoria
Makes you
Alonso
wonder.
lost in the end, so ha ha ha.
I
take
win,
that.
Victoria Alonso loses. Haha.
Corn Pop sent us a crying emoji.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. Epic
up.
Wildstar said, "Team up episode EVS and Vera Dark. Love you, Mary."
That would be good. Get Vera,
That'd be a cool
and EVS out
episode.
here at the same time. Vera's great. She's like the last time she was on. Who did we talk about last time? There was a couple of great ones. Was that the one with the actress who left for Twitch?
Yeah. Grace
with
Van
the-
Dien.
Grace Van Dien. Her whose father was in Starship Troopers, which everybody should watch.
That's a good movie.
Yep.
Depo, baby. Joseph Fazio said, "Yo, Big E, we gonna see Mary in special guest appearance in Cyberfrog Red Extermination, possibly?"
Sure.
There you go.
I have no decision in this.
And then
Bro Cody.
we got one. We already read the
Oh,
Bro
okay.
Cody one. Do the
Corn Pop just sent a surprised emoji.
and then do Shane Wilder, and then we will move on.
Shane Wilder said, "Dude was not charming or dangerous, more like sad and pathetic. Pride is not a good look for him, almost like it's a sin or something. God bless."
Crazy how that works, right? All right, guys.
Amen, brother.
We are moving on. So there was a couple of articles that came out recently. Every year, because Hollywood is now nothing but a bunch of check boxes that have to be met for tax purposes, and so that they don't get canceled by these trade magazines, they are keeping track now of all of the LGBTQIA plus representation in Hollywood, and they're actually giving you solid numbers up or down, whether they're making gains in the industry for gay, lesbian, bisexual representation. So this is an article that says, glad, racial diversity up amongst LGBTQ characters on television, overall representation drops due to mass cancellations.
You don't say.
You don't say, right? Like, so the idea here, guys, is that they're putting more of the characters on screen, but the shows just don't seem to do very well. Why do you think that is?
Well, they also complained that although racial diversity among LGBTQ characters is up, the overall representation of LGBTQ characters is down. But I just can't believe there are people who are paid actual money in this economy.
In this economy?
To watch TV shows and count with their fingers how many gay characters there are.
And the other thing is, one of the big things that I've learned, like doing research into this and like looking into the channels that cover this stuff in a pro aspect, that are more like, we tend to be more critical about a lot of this stuff because we think that there's a lot of times a socio-political agenda into it, but there's a lot of people that cover this stuff in a positive manner. And one of the things that they talk a lot about on those channels is the idea of like coding. It's like, is a character coded that way?
Queer coded.
Yeah, is it queer coded? So are they counting those characters? Like, do you think those characters count?
Well,
or does
there's
it have
not
to
a
be...
way to quantify
No, there
it.
isn't. That's the most interesting part.
But I mean,
there's a gay M&M who's candy coated.
That is, that's
Thank
true.
you.
That's
queer
true.
coated.
Well,
Yes.
it's with high heels like that. You
Yeah,
know, like,
they had to get rid of
wait,
those.
is it the green M&M?
The green M&M.
that's queer
Think so,
coded, or is
yeah.
it the brown M&M?
Both of them. I think they're a couple now.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of canceled shows. Batwoman was canceled. Charmed, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, the 4400. Look, that show was an affront to the original, and that should be memory hold for all involved. No one should be watching that. Legacies and Naomi. Did you catch any of Naomi? Given that was like that was a Brian Michael Bendis comic, right? From like a DC comic from like 2019.
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was. But you
No,
know what
thanks.
but you know what the comic is, right? It was a Brian Michael Bendis run from like late 2019 or something like that.
Sure, yeah,
okay. Yeah, that show got one season and canceled, and it's kind of bonkers to me.
Shout out to David Zaslav, by the way. Great job.
For being
doing a good
fantastic,
job over there. Yeah.
Just slicing down gets
Get
rid of
all of it.
everything.
Yeah.
Yep. He's
Well,
getting rid of all of it.
There should just be a picture of him smiling on this article, because I mean that's basically who's doing it.
They're attributing malice where mere incompetence can be cited as the reason.
Is that
like
Hanlon's
Warrior
Law?
Nun being one of the biggest examples. Fans of Warrior Nun literally claimed that it was because of homophobia
Yeah.
that this show was canceled, and it's just that these streaming platforms make a bunch of bad investments, and that's just how they do business. Bad business doesn't equal your oppression.
Do you know why I think this doesn't happen? Why they don't make these changes in the comic book industry is because I think it's just at a point now where they pay such low page rates that it's just a write-off at this point, and it's literally just slipping in under the radar. When a TV show fails, there's so much money behind it, whether they like it or not, that they have to at least pay attention to it. But the comics are so not cheap to make. But in a lot of ways, it's a rounding error for companies the size of Disney or the size of Warner Brothers compared to television.
Of course.
So
yeah,
so
publishing doesn't matter at all. To them.
instead, we get stuck with the publishing staying the exact same, if not getting worse, over the last several years.
Well, I mean, they're cutting people's page rates, and so competent people are moving over to Comicsgate, you know, and crowdfunding their own books, so that they can actually maintain quality, and they can actually put it up to an audience to decide if these books are going to get made or not. Marvel and DC are they'll hire anyone off a Tumblr, it seems, these days.
It's
The
also
worst talent.
It's also funny too because GLAAD is coming out here with like hard numbers.
Right.
In the comic book industry, whether you were talking Comic-Con, it's very hard to figure out sales figures because it's all done in such
They're
a weird
hiding
way.
them now.
They hide them, so there's no way
it's
to
like
know.
the comic book industry is in hospice, and a curtain has been drawn around the sales just to protect its privacy. It's really awful.
They're just letting it die and
Yeah.
but die in peace.
Die with dignity.
They've already
yes.
put the tag on its toe.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad. And the thing about it is the comics are alive. They're better than ever. Creators are out there. They want to do comics. You guys, you just have to do them on your own. You can't go work for these companies and become slaves to their parent companies. It's just not a good idea.
What advice would you give for somebody who wants to do it without the? Because I think the big problem for a lot of people is that it's very hard to commit to doing something like this, because what people don't understand is that what these companies offer is infrastructure. It's the pipeline for publishing, whether it's TV, movies, or comics. It's the pipeline for publishing. It's the pipeline for promotion. It's the ability to get the work out there. I would say a lot of them now, it's more because they grew up on these properties and they consider it validation to be able to work on characters that they liked growing up, rather than wanting to create their own. Kind of like what we were talking about with Aragorn. They don't actually see validation in creating their own work or in inheriting work from something new.
But
they
even
want
then, it's characters they claim they were so devoted to growing up, but oftentimes I don't even take them for their word.
And they
at
want to
that.
deface them. I mean, that's one of the things. And by the way, if you want to go work for the big two and work on Daredevil or Spider-Man or Superman, I'd go do it. I mean, it's a good learning experience. I did it for 20 years. But when it comes time to actually creating your own thing and trying to make an impact on the culture, which is what comic skaters are trying to do by telling great news stories, do it for yourself. Do it through crowdfunding. It is extra work. We're fulfilling. I mean, this book here, Cyberfrog 2 Wreck Planet, is in fulfillment right now. We got to ship 16,000 packages out to people who've been waiting for this book for a long time. And that is a lot of extra work. But the fact of the matter is, you will own your own labor, the results of your own labor. And that's what's important. No big corporation is going to decide that your character is gay or of a different skin
or if you
color.
want to
They
make,
make
or if
those
you want to make it,
decisions because they don't have to respond to market demands anymore.
That's
because of
correct.
what you said, Brett. It's like the comics division of Warner Brothers or Disney is a mere accounting error, meaning they'll just give it to the tyrants that want it.
and one of the things that they talk about, they're like, I'm not in charge of the marketing. I'm just the creative department. They don't understand that they are a representation of what that is on social media, and then they're awful on social media, not realizing that they are still a spokesperson for the company.
You represent Disney.
Exactly.
You represent Warner Brothers.
So I would also say, probably, would you advise that, like, part of it is, like, if you're going to do crowdfunding, you're also your own promotional tool. So you do have to learn to be front facing, as far as you have to be able to sell it. Like,
of course.
You have to have a personality. Like, a lot of the ones that I would say, like, a lot of these people that are working in comics that are making these things that seem to be antagonistic towards the audience aren't really the type of person that's going to be great in front of a camera, like, promoting their work.
Well,
they're
whoever's
antagonistic.
doing this and making all of these characters, doing all the race swaps and making characters gay, obviously you're trying to antagonize the audience. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why they're doing this, and that's why they'd have trouble crowdfunding, because you really do have to approach your audience and say, I need your help. I want to make something new, and I need your help, rather than just foisting some bastardized version of what they already loved on them and then laughing and calling them bigots. You actually do have to approach them and almost like hat in hand and say, will you help me? That's humbling, and that actually is good for a creator to do.
I also think that for a lot of it, it's like, if you're watching these shows and these movies where characters have been turned into stereotypes, you can now make characters that are gay that aren't stereotypes, that have personality, like they used to be back when, like, TV shows, believe it or not, this is a true story, used to be able to tell stories like that without turning every character into a ridiculous stereotype. That's actually possible to do. If you want to do that and actually add layers to your character, you can do that, but you have to be able to sell it and you have to be able to write it.
There are creators out there who do that. The Wire is amazing. Go watch The Wire if you want to see complex characterization. Realism.
Oh, you're talking about the television show, The
I'm
Wire.
talking about the television show.
Oh, well, that's
about
a funny story here, because here at Pop Culture Crisis, at least once an episode, I tell each and every one of the people in this show, go watch The Wire.
The Wire is fantastic.
Quite often.
Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, by the way. 6 Feet Under, I think, I could be wrong, but it really does feel like, even though the characters are on that show are wide and diverse, and there are a lot of gay themes and stuff, feels like the creator is almost conservative, Alan Ball. Because these characters actually suffer consequences and go through real changes, and that 6 Feet Under is great. Sopranos, and if you're a comic book creator, start watching these really, really good television shows and learn how to write comics and learn how to create characters based on what you learn from those.
I would love more people to go and watch The Wire, especially if you want to see a show that can do political themes in a way that doesn't tell you which way the creator of the show leans one way or the other. It's a perfect example of like, there are politicians in Baltimore. They're all corrupt.
Right.
There are cops in Baltimore. They're kind of bad people too. Everyone's just kind of a shade of gray. And that's how television, at least premium television like that, should have been done from the beginning. Like my favorite example is, I'm like, ever notice how all the cops are always driving drunk? Like they're always driving with like open bottles of alcohol, and like it was the 90s. It wasn't the 90s. It was the early 2000s. But you know, it was the early 2000s. They could just do that back then. So
Right.
I love that show. That show's a masterpiece.
All right,
as far
we're brothers
as far
now.
as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
So,
all that stuff was great.
look, if you're turning your industry into one in which you have to start labeling, what was the number, Mary? It was like 500 and it was 620 something, and it's now it was 637 LGBTQ characters. So I need to know, is there somebody who knows exactly how many characters there are total in all of television?
Yeah, that's literally impossible
Yeah.
to quantify. Like,
He can't give
unless it
percentages.
was done by an AI, I really have no idea. But
They said it's now 596
these are
characters.
busybodies who have nothing of value to offer society other than constant hand-wringing and kvetching about how no amount of representation is good enough, and they're making six figures doing this.
Somebody is getting paid
The
for this.
recession
A
is
lot
going
of
to come
money,
for
too.
your asses.
Somebody's gonna. I got a hold of the Warner Brothers ESG report, which not a lot of people see. It's
Okay.
a big, colorful flyer. I did a whole live stream about it, and inside of that, they have like pie charts and everything, and graphs saying this is how many white males work for us. This is how many people from the islands or black people, or they really narrow it down. They actually keep track of all of this stuff. And the reason why is because it's all about investment. It's all about ESG. Somebody is keeping track of this. So
I actually pointed that out on a stream once. I said, like, I have like the app that like shows you like what each company's, you can look up what a company's ESG score was, and Warner Brothers was higher than Disney.
that's shocking.
Like-
But they're trying. They
Why
really are
is that?
trying.
Like I don't know. Like at the time, I mean, this was before Zaslav, so this would have been before he took over. So those numbers might look different now with all the projects he's canceled. But that's not even really where most of those numbers come from. Those personnel numbers come from the people behind the scenes where they're doing the hiring. That's where you're seeing the most of the equity-based hiring policies and stuff like that. You see it in front of the camera, but the amount of jobs in front of the camera pale in comparison to how
What's
many
going
people
on,
it takes behind the
who's
scenes.
making these choices.
Yeah.
You know, who's approving projects that come out. But pour one out for the 41 missing LGBTQ characters.
Where did they go?
I don't know. Ask David Zaslav, because I think he's responsible for all 41 of them. It's pretty funny.
They get so mad every time an LGBT character dies in a show, or even just quits.
You're fridging
role, like,
the gay
You're
characters.
fridging them.
Yeah.
Imagine if you created a gay character and you made people care about them so much that their death meant something.
Well,
that
that's-
they didn't just cancel, that you actually created a character that people cared about.
And that's what I'm talking about. Back in those shows back in the day, anything could happen to any character because you knew that there wasn't plot armor that was going to be attached to a character due to social inequity.
You're the
Yeah.
man.
So it
So
it
one
doesn't make
part
any
of
sense.
this report that stuck out to me is titled Representation in Kids and Family Programming. It said it's more important than ever to have content made for kids and families that depict the LGBTQ community in a positive and empowering way. This year, due to the plethora of excellent kids and family programming, GLAAD expanded its media awards categories into live action and animated section to highlight the wealth of positive LGBTQ representation for younger ages. And they just went into a long list of shows and movies that are hosted for kids on the biggest mainstream platforms: Disney Channel, Disney Plus, Netflix. They pointed out The Ghost and Molly McGee on Disney Channel, Eureka.
Wait, not the original Eureka. Better not be what I'm talking. They're not talking about the
says-
2006 sci-fi masterpiece.
No.
Eureka.
This is on
Okay.
Disney Junior, and it's for literal toddlers. And
Okay.
it says it includes the titular role's non-binary classmate, Sasha.
What was the one with the non-binary bison recently?
There was
I saw
Did you
that.
see that?
Yeah.
Non-binary bison. That's
one show hosted for preschoolers on Netflix with a literal baby bison that identified as non-binary.
There's got to be at least one farmer out there who's got a sense of humor who can make his
Another
bison
one
non-binary.
was called Dino Ranch and included a plot where the cast bands together to help 2 male dinosaurs adopt an egg. That's called kidnapping. They also mentioned The Owl House, Marvel's Moon Girl, and Devil Dinosaur on Disney
boy.
Plus. All of these different programs, but this is just an aggregated list that they made as a parent's guide for conservative parents for all the things that you should be avoiding showing your children.
Somebody needs
so
to make
thank you for doing everyone a favor.
Somebody needs to make like a skit where they're like, they have like the list in front of them. They try to change the channel and they just can't. They eventually just have to turn the TV off because it's on every channel. So they're just like, nope. Like, and it just doesn't work because they can't get through any of it. And if you don't believe for a second, guys, that this isn't a hilariously divisive topic, this is my other favorite thing here. It says, do better. Internet blasts the BAFTA awards for defending older white women as diversity. So not even old white women are allowed to be diverse anymore. You're now part of the patriarchy.
I love when they
ladies.
say do better.
Do better.
I also just found out last night that the British Diversity Awards happened.
Amazing.
That's a real thing.
Amazing.
It was happening yesterday.
Bet you that's a fun group of people to hang out with.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I bet you that's a fun group.
I
of
only
people to hang
found out actually because I was like going into a rabbit hole of Google searches about Great British Baking Show lore. And
as one does.
Yeah, they recently kicked off one of the hosts to replace him with a host who is a black woman. And then I looked at their subreddit and it was just deleted. Like the mods had deleted every comment that said this was a bad choice.
Yep.
And then I saw that she was presented with an award at the British Diversity Awards. So that's a thing.
Maybe Dylan Mulvaney will go next year. He can probably
think-
pretend to be British.
So we remember that group photo from the BAFTAs that was it's just all white people and one black woman in the photo.
We got a $20 one from Cody McKelvey for
Thank you.
$20 with no message. You can leave a message if you want.
Canadian dollars
For-
as well.
if
so.
you want to say something to us, you can say something to us.
That might not have even been $20 because I don't know if Canadian money translates. But anyway,
that damn inflation in Canadian currency. This is Trudeau's fault.
that one black person in the BAFTAs group photo is the new British Bake Off host.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we talked
that
about
one
this.
woman.
It was basically like a panoramic photo of the whole group and everyone criticized it because it was like an all white group of people and they're like, BAFTA is so white. I'm like, well, it's Britain. What do you want to do? Like, it's like,
What do you expect?
It was their award shows or whatever. And there was like one person in there. So that person got that job as like of course. So they were mad because all of the best actress nominations were women. And I'm just over here like, they still have men and women's acting categories. That's crazy.
Shocking.
Normally they get rid of that now too because they want everything to be one homogenous Borg of nothingness full of just sadness and
Jamie Lee Curtis said that the pronouns of her Oscar are they them.
Ugh.
So
unbelievable. like when you really think about it, we're a very highly unserious people in the world. Like it is really like I made the
everyone's
joke.
laughing at us.
I made the joke the other week. I was like, you remember that Fisher Spooner song, "We Need a War"? But it really is like we have it so good here in the West that we just don't have anything to complain about. So, we got a $20 one from But Trump.
Yeah, but Trump said, Brett, you're very intelligent, but I'm going to super chat this for Mary because not saying you aren't beautiful, but Mary has a beautiful mind.
Well, that was a good compliment for everyone involved.
All
Thank you
right.
for including me in that, even though the
Thanks.
compliment was for Mary.
We're just both geniuses.
Well, that's what it is, Mary. I skipped going to Harvard or then going to MIT so that I could do Pop Culture Crisis. That's what it was.
Yeah, I turned down law school.
For me, it's like most of the time, like when we're doing the show, I'm like, I swear I'm actually better spoken when I type. Like I'm actually I tweet better than I speak. Right? Like I can articulate my thoughts better when I'm talking. Most of the time, my brain's having a hard time catching up with my running mouth.
Yeah,
runs
I get
forever.
that.
So like, look, guys, we're in a time now where they're trying to keep track of everything by numbers for stuff like this, and I just find that creepy. Like I find the doing it by like an actual percentage point and then pretending as if there is an actual right answer. Because if you ask them, okay, what is the right number of characters? What is the right percentage of characters? They'll never give you an answer. They'll just say there's more work to do.
Well, and the thing about it is just that honestly, all of this is being perpetuated by older white women who are leftists. So
Awfuls.
yeah, this is pretty self-defeating.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like the way therapists do business is they'll never want you to get better. That would mean they're out of a job.
There's also that weird obsession with therapy now that I think Hollywood plays a big part of. Like they've romanticized therapy.
They've also told a lot of men that in order to become dateable to the average woman, they have to go to therapy, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a weird.
The women who say
alive.
that, by the way, like the most toxic men.
That was a 90s thing where they were telling men that men need to be more in touch with their feelings and become more feminine. And you got it, ladies. That's what's going on right now.
And we're not liking this.
A whole generation of soy boys.
It really is. It really is like a whole generation of people where I've had to explain like that television and movies and everything put this into people's heads very early on and discouraged any form of masculine character in most of these television shows. Or oddly enough, they would be masculine, but then also be very in touch with their feelings in a way that if you were being honest about the character made no sense. Like a lot of times they're prone to heroic behavior, but are also very forthcoming with their emotions in situations where it just wouldn't make any sense.
Are you a conspiracy theorist like I am? Do you think that like a generation of messaging about men becoming more feminine and more in touch with their feelings and less aggressive and less masculine was done intentionally so that a generation of men would step aside for radical feminist females to enter the workplace and culture and make changes like this?
I used to be one of those people that would say like, look, I don't buy that most like the argument is usually made with the government. They're like, you know why conspiracy theories are hard to swallow? Because the federal government is extremely inefficient and doesn't do things very well anyways. If you've ever been to a DMV, you have a hard time buying that they can orchestrate anything well at all. Granted, that's your state government. But to imagine that it's not, at the very least, if it's not planned, it's because the industry encourages a certain type of ideologically inclined person to join. So maybe they aren't in a circular table around perpetually burning flames saying we are going to destroy the West with feminism so that women can have mid-level marketing jobs.
It's definitely social engineering, though.
Yes.
It's definitely intentional.
I think that it's more a case of people with like-minded ideas converging in the same industries rather than one plan by like I don't buy George Soros is there being like, I am going to destroy the West. I believe that a lot of people who were bullied in high school became feminists or became soy boy men, ended up working in entertainment.
But look at what we're doing now. We're reading articles about groups of people who are actually calculating the number of LGBTQ people in entertainment.
Well, now I believe it's incentivized financially through tax benefits. And for these people, organizations like this, which are like nonprofits, it's through raising funds, right? So I believe it's incentivized now. In the 90s, I think it's more likely that a lot of people with the same ideological beliefs came together and this is what transpired. Whether that was a plan, I don't know.
Yeah, like imagine your job title being like, I'm the senior entertainment sector analyst for this NGO called GLAAD, and I profit off of being a professional scorekeeper.
That was a George Carlin bit where he talks about, he goes, conspiracies don't need to exist where like-minded ideas converge, meaning they go to the same country clubs, they all golf on the same golf courses, they're in the same clubs because they all went to the same universities. Most of these people working in entertainment are the same way. It's just on a smaller scale. There was a $20 one there, Mary.
Oh, Steve Ryman said, with regard to women saying they wanted sensitive men, my grandfather told me, if you don't give a woman what she wants, she'll be unhappy. Give her what she wants, and she'll be effing miserable. And then we got another one from Yeah But Trump. He said, I have followed Timcast from the start, but this is my first episode of Pop Culture Crisis. Gotta say, I'm not disappointed. Kudos for reality.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here.
Now tweet Elon and tell him we need Elon on. We need Elon on someday.
Just for the lulz.
We'll get there.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like the idea is like he wouldn't want, like he could do all the big podcasts, but Elon's such a troll that he'd have more fun going on a smaller one just for the lulz. Like I'm saying we can do it.
We can definitely do it. I think it's super chat time.
Let's do it.
Alex making beds and writing a novel on the side said, just finished local pub quiz.
Second crisis party.
Thank you.
It is there's a threshold it meets.
We're just holding. Hold, please.
Carter in a well.
I loved that.
Carter in a well.
I love that.
That is the first time you've been included in the voice. Is it weird hearing your own voice?
It was
like, said
the
back
first
to you?
time when I
Yeah.
heard myself ask, "Can you scream crisis part?"
You're like, am I imagining that? Did I just say that and I don't remember it?
Yeah. Just finished local pub quiz. They asked for the director of The Whale, and our team failed. If only there was a podcast that spoke of these things.
Darren Aronofsky, right?
Yeah,
think
yeah. I
Aronofsky
remember
did.
that he had the weird last name. Yesh said, "Not mad. You want Astro Boy boots? Just disappointed."
They're very mad at you for wanting those
Why?
ridiculous boots. Look, those boots peaked when Seth Rollins gave the dude the curb stomp with the big. Have you seen the big Astro Boy boots with the
No.
big red boots? They're these ridiculous.
They look like a cartoon
Yeah.
style.
but
piece of-
they're huge and ridiculous. And Mary wants a pair. I don't know how they would.
I'm not normally a hype beast.
Yeah.
I just love the boots. Wayward Soul said Jimmy Page kidnapped a 14-year-old, I guess that's a type of slave, and MFs love Zepp.
I'm assuming he means Led Zeppelin.
I am assuming that as well.
Yeah, like.
Is this true?
I don't know if that's necessarily true. That's another thing about like music from that time period and the bad behavior is it's less about fact and it becomes more about legend, and you if you can't confirm it. It's like every kid in my generation grew up with the story that Marilyn Manson had a rib removed. There was no internet to spread that rumor, but everyone heard that rumor that Marilyn Manson had a rib removed so that he could go down on himself. Everyone heard that.
But it wasn't true.
It wasn't true, but I'm saying, but like back then there was no facts. It was just hearsay and in secondhand.
But then we got to the internet, and Evan Rachel Wood was like, Marilyn Manson, and then we all believed it. So has anything really changed?
No, but I'm saying, but like now stuff is reported as fact when back then you just heard it secondhand from, you knew a guy who knew a guy who heard from a guy, and you heard it in front of the lockers before third period. Now, just by reading it via text makes it feel more real to you. Like
I
it's actually
followed a
an
guy who
accusation.
retweeted a guy
Exactly.
who
Exactly.
retweeted another guy. Steve Ryman, Sketch Therapy said, EVS, I put your live interview with me at the top of my channel so you can tell the real me from fake accounts. If people trolling you, it ain't me.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
to know, Sketch. Thanks.
Thanks for clearing that up.
And then we got 2 from Corn Pop.
Sent some
3. We got 4 from Corn Pop in a row.
from Corn Pop and not Corn Pop. So
The question is like, which one is the more handsome of the Corn
he's
Pops?
just
Corn
feeling
Pop
a lot
and
of
non-Corn
different
Pop.
emotions
Yeah.
and is sending many emojis to express them. Cryptic Comics said, don't miss the Jack show tonight. Hail Comics Gate.
So what do you got planned next for like is fulfillment going to be the main focus right now for a long period of time?
Yeah,
with that much work.
Yeah, fulfillment is for Wreck Planet is the main thing. Cyberfrog Dark Harvest is up on Indiegogo right now. It's basically the follow-up to Wreck Planet. And then July 4th, we're launching Cyberfrog 3 Red Extermination,
That's awesome.
which is going to be bananas. It's going to be amazing.
How long is the process for getting through something like that? Like from then to fulfillment, just a lot.
It takes a long time because you've got to promote the project, you've got to draw and write the book, it's got to be colored and everything. It could take a couple of years sometimes to produce a book. This is 73 pages.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that it stay in print. It always look beautiful. We want our comic books to look like the Ferrari of comics. You know,
Yep.
I like
Marvel
how
can't do
sparkly it
this.
is.
Yep.
Yeah,
Looks like it got rained on.
it does a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a very detailed art style.
Yeah, I want you to read the books.
Yeah.
If you guys read comics, please do read Wreck Planet and tell me what you think.
Not Corn Pop sent us a poop emoji. Thanks.
Well, thank you. That's not very nice.
The Almighty Truffles said he DM'd me on Discord and said, it's done, Brett.
Okay, the book is done. So, look, I thought he said that it was in pre-production. I'm going to go back to that. Oh, I have this one here. Also, guys, there is Pop Culture Crisis merch up there. We promoted it yesterday, but there is new stuff on there. But I'm going to go through this here real quick. So he said that this is the 13-page preview. He said the book.
We got one from
is done.
But Trump. He said he didn't have one rib removed. It was 2. You misheard it from me first.
See, I had it wrong.
Confirmed.
I had it wrong. So he's saying that Silence Do Good is done. So guys, guys, it is up there on Amazon. He was like, we were talking about it on Discord last night, and I thought that would have been a great thing to talk about today, given that that's somebody working on a graphic novel with someone that's, and you had been posting recently about like, you want more people to be promoting other people in Comicsgate, to promote the books, to talk about the books.
Let me just say, everybody go to comicsgate.org right now and bookmark it. That's a great place to find Comicsgate, comic books, independent comic projects and things from people who are trying to work outside of the mainstream.
Okay. And then in the chat, Olivia Claire says it is in pre-production. He said July, right? See, so there's all these details about it right now, but you can go and pre-order it. Okay. You can go buy it on Amazon. So go check it out, guys. Like, I just wanted that because he was in the Discord last night. I'm having a lot of fun.
Is it done or not?
I'm having fun stalking the Discord as somebody who hasn't used Discord in several years. Like, I don't even have access to my old one because I don't have access to that email. But like, now that I'm like back like with the Timcast Discord, I'm just like reading all these conversations, and I feel like I'm staring through a window at a bunch of people talking to each other.
I'm gonna come clean. I'm not a Timcast member. I guess I would need to become one.
Andrew can help you.
Oh, okay. He's got the
hookup.
The hookup for the Discord.
Let's do one more, and then we will move on.
Okay. Noah Sanders said Jack Conti, pretty good musician, scary pockets, and pamplemousse, but a horrible person and businessman. Jack needs to leave the CEO position, in my opinion.
I like Pamplemousse. If that's the one who covered the LaRue song Bulletproof, then that's if that's what I'm thinking of, then yes, I love that song. But most artists, like a lot of things, like you have to kind of understand, like when you cover a lot of the stuff that we cover, people are like, yeah, well, this person's a horrible person. I'm like, look, if we were to not watch anything in Hollywood, because it's part of our job, like you review movies, if we were to review stuff that didn't have any horrible people in it, we wouldn't review anything and we wouldn't talk about anything because there's horrible people. Because there's going to be horrible people in all of these industries. Look, it draws to a certain type of personality, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys, we're going to move on and we're going to ruin your day thoroughly with this fantastic picture that I'm about to show you. Do you guys remember Velma? It was the show that broke me. Me, who is the positive one on this podcast most of the time when we review things, very frequently felt like I was losing it in sadness and despair watching this absolute trash show that had not an ounce of sincerity or goodwill behind it. Well, the creator of that is being honored. It was honored at the White House. Look at that fantastic photo.
Looks like it was made by AI.
It does. He doesn't look real there.
Uncanny,
ladies
honestly.
and gentlemen. He does not look real there. Mindy Kaling.
I guess Biden was just a huge fan of Mindy Kaling's amazing Scooby-Doo spin-off show.
Or it's maybe he just really loved The Office and he just like had to like find a reason to get her here, so he pretended to like Velma. That would be my hope.
They just invited a bunch of cringy celebrities to the White House all at once because, they really have their finger on the pulse of the culture.
This was the day after the Ted Lasso stuff.
Yeah, they invited a lot of different celebrities.
This is why liberals always win, because they pander to these to low IQ people who pretend like Mindy Kaling and Jason Sudeikis are people that should be that should help inform you about your political decisions.
I'm not sure who's falling for this. Honestly,
people are falling for this. That's the black pill here. People are absolutely falling for this.
I just don't see it. Like, Velma didn't appeal to normal people. That show was for weirdos like Mindy Kaling and hate watchers. That's all that was for. It didn't appeal to anyone who is actually in like the Democrat voter base other than screenwriters. And then she just posts this like overly sentimental, precious caption on Instagram. She received the National Endowment of the Arts medal straight from Biden, who has no idea who she is or where he is.
I can tell he's a big fan.
Or what that medal means, actually. I'm guessing that he doesn't. They probably just handed it to him.
She's also looking really skinny, so
she's looking fantastic. I will give her that.
Congrats to her on the Ozempic.
Hey, we don't know that. Like, look, that maybe, but I'm not gonna skinny shame.
She had 4 ribs removed.
She looks like she got like 3 ribs removed or something.
She's like, not on my watch.
She's at
Marilyn
least
Manson.
like a size 4 now.
Understand? I mean, all this means is nobody's watching the show. The show is going to get canceled eventually, but right now it's on the air just to say, look what we can do.
Yeah.
A-holes. Excuse my language. Look at what we can do to the things that you grew up with. Look at what we can do to the culture. We can defile it, and we will give rewards. We'll give awards, important awards, to the people who are doing it, and then we're just going to laugh in your face.
I've mentioned this before in the podcast. Like, for me, like, this is not something heavily political, but what I always thought was weird is, like, as somebody who growing up didn't really think of politics and pop culture as things that overlapped, it was during the Obama administration that I started noticing, I'm like, why is he doing so many media appearances? Why is he on late night TV all the time? Doesn't he have stuff to do?
Interesting
Right?
question. Well, it's because politics is show business for ugly people.
Yes, absolutely.
And show business is just apparently politics for pretty people.
It's true. And
Wow.
And everyone just needs to kind of correct course and go where they originally wanted to go.
it's weird for this because, like, I just can't imagine. Like you said, I do believe that there are people that like that show. I do believe that there's stupid people that like that show that don't understand the culture war or what's going on right now, that just see it as the same type of.
You think there are people who like Velma? You really do?
I believe there's at least
There's
three of them.
nothing-
I believe
mean,
there's at least three or four people who like it, who
They
don't
need to go to
understand
therapy.
who don't understand the cultural implications of this, who just think of it as the same crude humor that used to exist on Adult Swim back in the day, not understanding that we are at a state in our culture right now that's far different than it was in the early 2000s.
I don't know.
I think it's a hateful show.
No, it is.
Think
It's absolutely hateful.
It really it hates its audience. It hates you. It hates Scooby Doo. It even hates. I seriously, I think that the cynicism in pop culture really has never shined the way that it's shining right now with something like this. And to see her getting a medal. Is this medal for Velma? What is the medal for?
No, the medal is for Mindy Kaling for her contributions to the arts.
Which are what?
Which are Velma and New Girl and a crappy role in The Office 2 decades ago.
The Mindy Project.
Not New Girl, the Mindy Project. Look, the other thing is, it's funny that you mentioned that, because when I try to describe to people why I have such an affinity for older shows, it's exactly what you said. They don't feel hateful. They can do shows that tell you the exact same storyline. Any post-apocalyptic show from the Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s could be interchanged storyline-wise oftentimes with the modern-day dystopian shows. They just don't have a cynical approach to the world in the same way. The characters are made endearing. They're likable. They have flaws, but they're not done it's not done in a socio-political manner. And nothing that's made today, especially in genres like you said, Mary, like sci-fi, like genre television, like fantasy, things where there's cultural territory to be gained, none of that is done that way, because it has to be done either cynically or with an eye for gaining traction in the socio-political sphere.
Representation. I mean, representation is the most destructive thing to the arts.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a character, you can't have an Indian female character that has any flaws whatsoever. You're saying it's representation. It has to represent all Indian females. And therefore, you do not want to insult them.
Actually,
in
that show, I would say it's the opposite. I would say that no Indian female would want to be represented the way that Velma's represented in that show.
Well, Mindy Kaling does.
well,
That's why she race-swapped
she's
Velma
bad then.
as a self-insert, which was obvious. I mean, I think it's bizarre. It's very jarring that we have the cynical, hateful tone of Velma contrasted with her, overly precious love and light mentality about being invited to the White House. You're literally getting rewarded for spreading more racial and other, social division in this country.
Just the way they treat, what's his name in that show?
Laughable.
Fred. The way
Fred's
Fred
a
is treated.
complete moron
Dude,
who doesn't know how to
Fred
use
is
silverware.
literally Hunter Biden.
As she twerks over Fred's dead mom's
It's
body.
like laughable to me that
Hateful.
Mindy Kaling genuinely believes Joe Biden knows who she is or has watched or read anything she's ever done. She said, "I'm still processing how to receive this news. Yesterday, I went with my family to receive the medal at the White House, to hear the president speak about my parents, their journey to the U.S., my late mother's dreams for me, and the power of comedy to make people understand each other." Was almost too much to take in.
But here's the thing.
It didn't feel real. I was sitting next to Gladys Knight. I guess I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the POTUS account.
She's
and
just
Kamala
as fake
Harris.
as he is. She's just as fake as he is. She knows that he doesn't know who she is. She knows that some staffer wrote that for him. She just understands that she's playing her side of the game. Also, there's a $20 one there.
Oh, yeah, but Trump said, okay, I've been missing out. I'm going back. Wait, what is this?
Tim might be in danger.
Tim might be in danger of losing people to y'all. Fantastic show. And as I said, I will go back and watch all of these. Great pairing. Didn't know y'all had guests too. Awesome work.
Make sure you let Tim know that he's in danger of losing an audience to us. Maybe he'll do better.
Yeah, do better.
What do you think Mindy Kaling's favorite Gladys Knight song is? Do you think she's ever listened to Gladys Knight in her life?
Maybe. The better question would be like, what does Mindy Kaling listen to when she's writing her hateful TV shows?
I actually didn't know.
What do you think she listens to?
Is it Gladys Knight and the Midnight Train to Georgia? Is it any of that?
Can you scream?
Thank you, guys.
I think that's too earnestly creative. I think she listens to dubstep. I bet you she listens to dubstep while
she listens to Sam Smith.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. She listens to Unholy while she's making her horrible stuff.
So mind-blowing that she feels more of an obligation to honor this award she got from the president than honor an audience that supports her work.
Yep.
You know,
because the
she
audience
said, I promise to spend the rest of my life earning this medal because I don't feel like I've earned it yet. Meanwhile, when she
she hasn't earned it yet, so she's right.
When she vomits this absolute shit show of a spin-off onto us, the public, expected to consume it, then it's, if you don't like it, don't watch it, bigot. Like, you feel more of an obligation to Joe Biden than to the people who literally pay for you to be celebrated like this?
It's because all of these things are owned by companies that are so massive that
it's failing upward.
They fail upward, but also there's no repercussions for them, right? Like, and the other thing is we talk a lot about how in network TV you had to worry about getting canceled all the time. Now they get hired for one season. That one season gets made. They get paid no matter what. They don't have to worry about, like in comics, theoretically they should be worried that they're not going to get the next issue. They just canceled Tim Drake's Superman, right? Like they should understand. They should treat each issue as if it's the last issue they might have, but they don't do that. It makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. But just remember, you can fail upward and you can get an award. I bet you Victoria Alonso will get an award later this week.
When someone this mediocre, not just mediocre, she's below that, is also astroturfed and artificially propped up like this, it's so disheartening because there are so many deserving creators who don't feel any of this type of animosity to their viewers, and they don't get shit. They
gave an award to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, which, whatever you think of Veep,
she was there too.
Seinfeld was a cultural touchstone for our country.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of like closed their eyes and threw darts at a dartboard and invited whoever they hit.
I like that, actually, that like they give Joe Biden a dartboard and then they all have to get out of the way so he doesn't throw the dart at them.
The Velma might have been created just for this moment. I mean, this could just be it. Again, remember, it is all about the culture war. It's all about just advancing, women and minorities and gays in the arts. And so Velma probably was an afterthought. It's awful. It's terrible. Just so that there could be this moment where Joe Biden was standing next to a creative, I think, Indian woman with a medal around her neck. So
he looks super, diverse.
Very progressive. What a guy.
I did say Tim Drake Superman.
I didn't call you out on that.
Yeah, thank you. No, you should have.
Tim Drake is Robin.
Yes,
and
I know.
Bisexual Robin.
Yep.
Canceled.
Pretty sure Reese Witherspoon was there. I don't know. What is the meaning?
Well, no,
of
Bruce Springsteen was there as well, and everyone knows that he had his issue with Spotify listeners after what happened with Joe Rogan.
I mean, did he really? Did he say take me off? Spotify?
Yeah, I think he went back on it though. I think he ended up going back on it. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for calling me out. I appreciate it, guys. That is hard. A lot of times, like I'll go back when I'm editing, and I'll be editing something that I'm saying. I'm like, what the hell was I saying? Like, you know,
Can I do an overdub
yeah.
of
Well, also like when you're like when you're listening to something of somebody else, you're like, it's very easy like when you catch it, like when
Yeah.
somebody else makes a mistake, but then like when you make it, like a lot of times it's like, why? How the hell did I not catch that in the moment?
Right.
Like what you're saying. I should actually make a supercut of like times when I've said something like by accident. That'd be good.
Sorry, I'm just losing my mind kind of looking at this comment section.
Yeah.
Like I want to live on the same plane of reality as other people. And when I can't do that, it just makes me feel like I'm spiraling. Like this one comment said, please don't spend the rest of your life feeling like you need to prove you deserve it. That attitude is what kills all of us Black and brown women as we work harder than everybody else, way past the need to prove ourselves, while so many mediocre white men cruise by at the top while living a life of recognition, leisure, and basic work. You have long well deserved this. It's literally the opposite.
Yeah.
You are getting invited to the White House for being a mediocre POC woman, and you created mediocre or below that work. You're the one that's cruising by to the top and failing upwards. No matter what you do, you can't fail because of your identity and the social cachet you carry by openly extending your vitriol to white men.
Yeah.
the mediocre white men who created Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, like you're literally working off of the backs
of giants.
Of giants,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, and that is the more annoying thing about it, right? Is they never pay actual homage to the original material because they see it as a stepping stone for them, and it would actually detract from them to act. They always pretend like they do. The press releases always say that they're going to pay certain homage to the original material, but they never actually do. Not putting Scooby-Doo in it proves that you didn't actually care about the original.
I'm ready to absolutely salute Mindy Kaling when she actually creates something worthwhile herself, something new, rather than ruining things that other people love. All of these diversity hires, these people who are in the media for being diverse and getting awards. Create something new. Don't just ruin Star Wars.
You
Lord
also
of the
get
Rings.
so much more goodwill from people when you create something new. Like
Absolutely.
anytime you start from scratch and build a character from scratch, you could literally tell the same story. The story could be mediocre or bad, and people will give you more leeway with a new story than they will if you take over and appropriate an old one. It makes no. It actually does.
100%.
It's what they're doing with the Little Mermaid. All they're doing is setting Halle Bailey back by saying like you're going to be given sloppy seconds, and now you're going to suffer.
Nobody is going to rewatch that movie. That movie's going to come out, and whenever 20 years from now, if somebody says I'm watching The Little Mermaid, it's going to be the animated version. None of this stuff matters. Look at Annie. I mean, Annie, people are watching Little Orphan Annie, the movie. They're watching the one from 1982. Nobody even remembers the one from like 6 or 7 years ago where Annie was black.
Did you know that
gone.
they did an episode of the show Boston Legal, the pilot episode of the show Boston Legal, where a lady sues a theater for not allowing her daughter to play Annie because she was black, and they actually have, and they have Jesse Jackson come in. And makes like a guest appearance to like protest it and everything, because in the show they've got James Spader plays like the liberal attorney, and then they've got so they've got a liberal attorney, they've got one that's more conservative, and it's really interesting because in the show it's not portrayed that way, and they talk about it as if it's like the mom's like, it's offensive that they wouldn't allow my daughter to be Annie because she's the best of the singers. And they actually point out in the court case, he says like, well, she's adopted, so this could actually work. And they win the case because it's like theoretically she doesn't have to be white because she's adopted by Daddy Warbucks, right? So it's actually really interesting, and that was back in the early 2000s.
Are you allowed, like if you're making Annie, if you're remaking Annie now?
Yes,
or anything,
Shatner's in that show. Tacti Platy. William Shatner plays the conservative attorney.
That's right.
That
If you're making that now, like, are you allowed to cast a little white girl with red hair? Are you allowed to?
Well, not a redhead. No, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
I mean, like, think about just the optics of that in 2023.
We've got one from but Trump. He said almost all these actors and musicians are being sold illusions of grandeur. Some succeed like the Beach Boys, Motley Crue, the Beatles. The rest are compost.
Yeah, I mean, most of it now, there's so much infrastructure built in Hollywood that you don't have to actually be good at it. Like, you don't have to build your name the way they used to have to, right? Like, those celebrities, they're the celebrity of today, the high level actor of today. Tom Cruise is a movie star. Most of the rest of them exist off the backs of Marvel properties, exist off the backs of the character of Batman, exist off the backs of the character of Superman. They don't, I mean, actually, I'd say Henry Cavill has kind of proven himself to be more of a movie star, I guess. But he's endeared himself to the audience in a lot of ways. Most of these actors don't have the gravitas or the spectacle in the way that a Tom Cruise does.
What about Cumberbatch? Still riding off the Marvel.
No, because he was
name?
Sherlock before.
Sherlock was where he made his bones.
Yeah, he made his bones.
That's what
Sherlock.
I know him from, but I didn't know if that was the case for.
No, I would say
everybody
he's a
else.
rare example of Marvel co-opting a bigger name.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
what they do now. They either get a total nobody or they get like a very established person.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? The Beach Boys just got mentioned there. They'd be a counterexample because I think they started out by swiping Chuck Berry songs and rewriting surfing lyrics so that Chuck Berry was black.
Yeah.
So then you got white kids stealing from black people, which is what rock and roll was in the late 50s, early 60s. But then progressing beyond that and creating pet sounds eventually, which is a work of art in and of itself that nobody understood at the time. And boy, I'd really like to see that. I'd like to see people kind of expanding beyond this idea of standing on the shoulders of giants and just staying there. Like, take a leap off and take a chance and make something of your own. That'd be like Brian Wilson did. Magnificent.
They'll have to understand. I think a lot of them just don't understand that they can do it. It's just going to be more work. Like, it's more work for them, and
It's
they don't
scary.
want to.
That's what art is. It's scary. You've got to take a chance and actually try to create something new, and it might fail.
Busta Cap says Robert Downey Jr. is not a big name, Brett. No, he is a big name, but he was also not the celebrity he was when Marvel started. He was rebuilding his image at that time because he was coming off of a bunch of different scandals. And those big names, whether you talk Chris Evans, whether you talk Chris Hemsworth, I still would contend that as big as those actors are, the character of Captain America and the character of Thor are bigger than they are. I do.
But they also
that.
capture people like Natalie Portman, Angelina Jolie, actual.
I mean, is Natalie Portman relevant these days?
They've got Michelle Pfeiffer. They've got all of these established names.
Now,
to
like,
Well,
give them
who's a big
credibility.
movie star right now? I mean, we don't have. It's not like it's the 1940s.
it's Tom Cruise and that's it.
Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And have they been in Marvel movies yet?
Brad Pitt has not. But like, Brad Pitt did Bullet Train, and he's the one who drew people to Bullet Train. But Bullet Train was a good movie all on its own.
Right, but people didn't watch. What was the other one he was in? Babylon.
Yeah, nobody cared. Well, that was
Nobody
like,
cared about Babylon, but they liked Bullet Train, so it wasn't really Brad Pitt that was the draw, was it?
I don't
you know?
know.
It was
I don't know
the fact
if
that
he
it was a
was.
fun movie and Babylon didn't draw people's attention.
I think Bullet Train gets made because they're able to attach somebody with Brad Pitt's name to it. I think a movie
Well, they
like that.
attached Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie and a ton of other people's names to.
But I'm saying they
that
get
movie,
theater releases
so.
for that reason. I think a lot of those movies end up going to stream, like not Babylon. Babylon is pure art, not narcissism. Like, they have to make it because they think they're so great for making it. But Bullet Train, I think, ends up on streaming if you don't get a big enough actor to play the lead. If Taron Egerton plays the lead in that, it ends up on streaming.
Well, that is true. Like, every Marvel movie, the characters are way bigger than the actors that are in it. I mean,
exactly.
Where's Leo DiCaprio? Like, would he ever be in a Marvel movie?
I don't know. He actually advises against it. He tells
wouldn't.
actors not to.
Oh, God bless Leo. I know
There's
I
a
like him.
$20 one right there.
Oh, Noah Sanders said, EVS, you're wrong about Annie. The 1999 version with Kathy Bates, Alan Cumming, and Kirsten Chenoweth is hands down the best version of the story. And Brett, thanks for bringing me in for Collins the other night.
That would not be me. That is a different Brett. There are two Bretts that work here. So
different
I'm
guy.
not taking credit for that. That was not me. I got a couple of messages with people like, thanks. I'm like, you're thanking me for nothing, man. Like, oh, yeah, hey, man.
You got
hey,
the
man.
wrong Brett.
Yeah, wrong Brett. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Like, look, a lot of those actors, like Batman is another example. Like, Michael Keaton, if you remember, didn't want to play Batman at the time because superhero movies were looked down upon.
Nobody wanted him to play
in
Batman.
the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Like, but as they move on now, Batman is a role in which people aspire to take. And when Ben Affleck got cast, they said, don't go online, don't look on social media because it's going to cause a firestorm of hatred one way or the other, either positive or negative. And these characters are being played now by actors who are either less important than they are, but that's why James Gunn likes to take characters that are lesser known. That's why he used the characters he used in the Suicide Squad movie that he made, or the characters he used in the Guardians of the Galaxy, because they have less social capital to the normies than a Captain America, who everyone's heard of, even if they've never read a comic book in their entire life, right? And that's why they're having such a hard time now, is they don't have the built-in name recognition of those characters to rebuild, and nobody wants to see Anthony Mackie play Captain America. They don't.
No.
They don't. So there's no reason to do that. But it's going to keep happening. It's because there aren't really movie stars. I'd say Keanu Reeves is still a movie star.
Yeah.
But even then, like Robert Downey Jr., okay, he mentioned Robert Downey Jr. earlier. As soon as he was done with Marvel movies, he went and did Doolittle, and Doolittle bombed. Nobody went to see Doolittle. So is it necessarily that he's a movie star, or is that he was just so perfectly cast for that role that a lot of people will never see anybody else playing it?
Was Doolittle just a bad movie? I mean, look, Robert Downey Jr. has been in great movies.
I love his Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes was
actually.
great.
Yeah.
Chaplin. Go back to the 90s and watch him as Charlie Chaplin. That movie is still watchable now, and he was great. You know, it's just that everybody gets in bad movies every now and then. I think he's a movie star. I do.
He's but now, and you could make the argument that at the time he was probably bigger than Iron Man, who Iron Man to normies now is a huge deal, but back then people didn't even know who he was.
They didn't know Iron Man.
So,
yeah.
And Marvel had to make their bones on lesser known properties because they sold off the X-Men, they sold off Spider-Man. They're leasing Spider-Man, for God's sakes. They've leased Spider-Man like a car because Sony will never get rid of him now.
But they have the X-Men, right? Do they have?
They
the
have them
X-Men
now,
back?
yeah, because they purchased 20th Century Fox, so they were able to. They literally spent billions of dollars just to get those characters back.
Right.
And then bought a bunch of other ones that nobody's, like a bunch of other like Fox movies that they turned to 20th Century Studios because they saw Fox and they're like, we can't have Disney associated with Fox at all because they might think we're Tucker Carlson or something. And now they make a bunch of like a lot of their B-list movies end up going through 20th Century and Searchlight. So it is what it is. Look, nobody cares about Mindy Kaling and nobody wants to see. Look, I'm going to make people look at the picture one more time. They have to look at the picture one more time. This is the state of it. Just remember, Putin and Xi Jinping were like shaking hands while this was going on. What are we being distracted with?
This was on Biden's docket in the morning when he woke up to his glass of water and his pills and his breakfast in bed.
I really do believe, I'm with Styx Hexenhammer. Like whoever the president is in a bipartisan campaign, given that we refuse to like give anyone the job that's not senile and geriatric other than Barack Obama. Like, I hope they give them the super drugs. I hope the CIA shows up day one of the presidency and says, like, here are your super amphetamines to get you through the day.
I think that's why she created Velma. She was harvesting the adrenochrome from all of the people highly distressed while watching it.
That could be it. All right, Mary, we got some super chats there.
Bad Adam 12 said, hey guys, great guest today. Ethan, eat a mint. I can smell your breath from here. Brett, Mary, don't get mad. He's used to the abuse. I'm just effing with Ethan. Cyber frog forever.
There you go.
Thanks.
So mean.
Very much.
And then Corn Pop.
We've got more emojis from
And then Corn Pop pointed up as if to say Bad Adam 12 was either right or wrong. I have no idea which one he's he's confirming or denying.
My breath is like minty fresh. Don't you worry.
James Ornthal 1 said, I'm currently rewatching Treem. Is that?
I don't know what that is. I've never seen
season 3. David Simon's a master at characterizing inanimate cities and trusts the intelligence of the audience.
And that's another thing that's been lost in movies and television. I actually say that this goes back to like when network television started putting flashbacks in the middle of the scene, where it's like a flashback to earlier in the episode because they literally think you're so stupid you don't remember something that happened 18 minutes ago before the first commercial break.
Not just that, but there needs to be really big text on the screen that says 20 minutes ago or 20 years ago.
In the CSIs, it's like additive dissolve, and then it flashes back and it's black and white, and they show it in a lower frame rate because not only is it a flashback, it's a foggy memory. So yeah, they use these visual cues that literally show that they had no faith whatsoever in anybody watching their stuff. So, and I think it just shows you how little Hollywood thinks of people.
Maybe they shouldn't. I mean, the audiences these days aren't that intelligent.
When I disagree. I think they don't give. I think that there's an audience of people that do want good content.
Yes. I'm just saying. I mean, most times when the audience doesn't understand that there's a flashback or some complexity to a show. Like,
But
it's
I actually
something
like
that
it.
an unintelligent person doesn't actually pick up on or care about, so it doesn't really matter. You don't need to make it explicit.
I actually like it when I miss something. Like if somebody, if I'm like, that didn't make any sense, can somebody explain to me what? And they explain to me that something happened early in an episode and I didn't catch it. I actually like it because then
That's
I'm
me
like,
all the
they
time.
didn't insult my intelligence.
They're just
and
trying to
feel-
prove to you that we've got our bases covered. We did set this and establish this
Yes,
thing up. But on the
exactly.
other hand, I mean, that is kind of a cheat. And I think shows that are intelligent, I mean, shows like we could say Seinfeld, you know, for example, do attract large audiences. Lowest common denominator stuff can also, but I think it doesn't. I think it pays to believe in the intelligence of your audience.
I agree.
Kaleidoscope? Was that the one that...
That was the one that you could
you can
watch
watch
in
it in any order.
I got through 2 episodes and it didn't interest me. It was boring.
They know that everyone's going to watch it in order anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, but Trump... Oh, we got a peach and a rainbow from Corn Pop. I don't know what any of these symbols mean.
John Delarose.
John Delarose said, hello to my good friend Ethan Van Sciver.
Hello, John. How you
Hello,
doing?
John.
He said he saw. I saw on your Instagram or your Twitter last night that you saw Copeland live. Copeland's a Christian rock band, right?
I've never heard of
I
that
believe they are.
band.
Yep.
Yeah, but Trump said, wait, where are the chickens?
Wait, we don't have the chickens up here. That would be a health risk if we had chickens up here.
That would be disgusting.
We can show you the chickens afterwards.
I saw
You
them.
saw the chickens.
The chickens
yeah.
are in the yard, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
They're outside, where they belong. Corn Pop sent a sleeping emoji and a microphone emoji.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and we
We're
will
just
come
gonna
back.
crack the code eventually.
Yep. All right, we're coming back. All right, guys, we got, as if Velma wasn't bad enough, we can go back into more to talk about scripts and everything going on. The Writers Guild of America says yes to scripts penned by artificial intelligence, which is funny, guys, because I've been talking a lot lately about ChatGPT. I've been like referencing ChatGPT during the show and like asking it questions and stuff. It's a hilarious
This is
thing
like
to
what's going to burst the academia bubble.
it could
For
be
real.
in a way. Like a lot of people were saying, like, how are they even going to be able to give tests anymore when kids are going to be
Or
able
we'll
to just...
return to handwritten, but
Yeah.
other than
Yep.
that, it's kind of over. And now it's over for Hollywood writers because they can easily be replaced.
And they're working through they're trying to get out of a writer's strike right now, right? Like they keep threatening writer's strike in Hollywood. So it says the Writers Guild of America has given thumbs up to artificial intelligence penning scripts so long as the writers keep their credit and residuals.
What kind of union is this?
The
What
Writers
writers?
Guild,
Yeah.
the one that's responsible for the 2007 writers' strike,
What
which gave
sad
us,
excuse
which
for
gave
a
us
union
the,
is this?
which gave us the fantastic masterpiece Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen, which no one likes but me. Nobody in the world likes but me because it makes no sense, and my brain loves things that don't make any sense. It says, well, the WGA has proposed certain regulations on the use of AI to pen scripts. The union has not proposed an outright ban on AI and will allow the use of certain programs like ChatGPT to help write a script per variety. So imagine you're writing your script and you're like, this character does this. And then what do? You go to the program and you start asking it questions like, what would a character, given these parameters, what would it do next? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you do that? Like, there's already script writing programs, right? Like Final Draft, that help you like figure out how to write your script. And then you could start asking the questions like, well, if they were to say no, AI is not allowed to do something like this without credit, would they be able to like do the same thing for like your spell check? Like if you can't spell properly and you can't even articulate a thought, but you can write a script, do you have to give spell check or whoever created spell check part of your credit for helping you write?
I don't know. That's different, though.
Who wants to watch this? If you knew that a script was written by AI,
Oh, you'll never know. They're never going to publicize this.
Can you?
Yes!
You can't. Thank you.
Like,
You can't possibly make ChatGPT woke enough
no.
to replace the screenwriters we have now.
What we need is somebody to go in and hack ChatGPT and make it unwoke. Is that even possible?
I'm kind of
With
confused
Dan?
by
I'm
this though,
interested in
because
that.
it looks like the Writers Guild response is not giving the thumbs up to it. It says that plagiarism is a feature of the AI process. They said that the proposal to regulate the use of material produced using artificial intelligence or similar technologies ensures companies can't use AI to undermine writers' working standards, including compensation, residuals, separated
But
rights,
that's what
and
they're
credits.
saying. The writers will still get the credit. They're allowed to use it. They're not going to have to share the credit with the AI program.
Okay, why would you receive credit for that?
Why? Well,
You
no,
didn't do
they're-
it. You
no,
just-
they're saying that the writers will still get the credit. So
Exactly. Why would the writer get credit for that?
The
If it's-
Writers Guild of America is on the side of the writers, not on the side of the AI program. It would have to be whoever's lobbying on behalf of ChatGPT to argue the other point.
My issue is why would you receive credit for feeding input into a machine?
Well, the idea is that their hope is that it's the same thing as like bouncing ideas off another screenwriter, right? And everyone knows that there are absolutely unwritten versions of scripts, and a lot of writers do unwritten or like uncredited rewrites for movies that they get paid for, but they don't get credit for because of regulations within the industry. So the idea here is like you're just using ChatGPT is the
To
same
modify
way.
something that you already wrote?
Yeah, to basically
However
to get
you use
suggestions.
it. I
to
mean,
get
they're just
suggestions.
basically saying that you don't have to reveal that you're using it.
It says, in the same way that a studio may point to a Wikipedia article or other research material and ask the writer to refer to it, they can make the writer aware of AI-generated content, it said. But like all research material, it has no role in guild cover work, nor in the chain of title in the intellectual property. So it's not going to get, like, nobody's going to be paying ChatGPT for its contributions.
Okay.
It's scary. It's scary where we're going.
This feels late to the game because I believe they probably already have used this for scripts that are being used right now.
Yes, most likely, considering what's making it out there. I think Velma is entirely written by AI. It must be.
Something as soulless as that, and the rest of the products that are being churned out of Hollywood right now, I can only conclude.
Was ChatGPT in a bad mood that day? Like, I don't know about that. I believe that something that vindictive would have to be written by a person.
Well, if you feed hate to a machine, it'll spit it back out at you.
But then but that's not ChatGPT that's making it hateful. It's the hateful nature of the questions it's being asked and the parameters it's being fed.
Tay, right? When they introduced Tay on Twitter, and she immediately became like a Nazi.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
If people feed an AI machine hateful rhetoric, it will just spit it back out at you.
But the jokes aren't really jokes. It's like it seems like it's AI. Fred sitting there being a white male who can't use silverware is almost a joke. Yeah. But not really a joke.
Uncanny valley of humor. Yeah, it's not quite hitting. You know, like you don't really know what the motive of the.
That's just a lack of rewrites. That's a lack of editors. That's a lack of script editors saying like, this isn't funny. What the hell are you talking about? Because you can't criticize Mindy Kaling. You can't go and tell the South Asian woman your joke isn't funny because that's racist. So she doesn't have anyone to tell her no. The writers don't have anyone to tell them that this isn't funny, and nobody cares anyways because David Zaslav's going to end up canceling the rest of your crap anyways.
Let's go, David
Zaslav.
Like
why did he approve it in the first place?
It was approved. That was done before he took over.
So was Batgirl, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was expensive as hell, and it was supposed to do like damage to the DCU brand. Yeah. It was so bad.
Yeah, and Batman and superhero related properties hold more value than Scooby-Doo does, probably.
What else are they doing with it?
But here's the question: like, what you're talking about here is like what they could have done to fix Velma would have been story editors, somebody to be like somebody who actually is funny. As hard as that is to believe it existing in Hollywood, there probably are actually funny people there. They would just have to be hired by Mindy Kaling to be like, look, I'm gonna write these jokes. They might or might not be funny. I need you to be the one to tell me when it's funny. There's a lot of people who think that George Lucas, that the reason that the prequels went off the rails is because there was nobody there to tell him no, right? You need somebody there to tell you no. You need somebody there to be like, this isn't funny. If it takes ChatGPT to be the one to tell Mindy Kaling that she isn't funny, and maybe she'll actually buy into it because she'll be like, well, I'm not letting a straight white male tell me I'm not funny, but ChatGPT doesn't have a gender or a racial makeup. So maybe she will take the advice of ChatGPT someday if somebody can somehow feed it the right parameters to tell ChatGPT to tell Mindy Kaling she's not funny.
I know there are countless op-eds talking about how AI machinery has unconscious bias against minorities.
Yeah.
That's already a thing. So you can still argue that it's anti-Mindy Kaling.
Well, and all of this is anti-artist. I mean, in a lot of ways, right? Like the idea that you're going to start letting them write these scripts, as if most of it, the stuff at the Hollywood level on the big screen doesn't feel formulaic enough. Like it's not going to somehow feel more formulaic once you start having bots writing 3/4 of the script and you're just changing the names and dates.
Look at what Steven Spielberg says, though. And this is, I mean, is this just old guy rhetoric? Because this is what I agree with. He says, I think the soul is unimaginable and is ineffable. I like the word ineffable.
Yes.
It's different than uneffable.
Yes, they're not the same thing.
Yeah, okay. He says, and it cannot be created by any algorithm. It's just something that exists in all of us. And to lose that because books and movies and music are being written by machines we created, that terrifies me. Make a movie about it. What do you know, old guy? You're on the way out.
Peter Gabriel is going to be incorporating AI into his music.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, like he's doing a thing now where he's trying to incorporate. Like I ended up reading this really long article about it, and I thought about talking about it on the show, but it was so damn complex. I'm like, I didn't actually get most of what he was talking about, but it was actually cool to see a dude who's older who had like wanted to do stuff like that since the 80s, but the technology wasn't there. So the technology is actually catching up with Peter Gabriel's idea for the way he wants his music to go.
The technology has finally caught up to me, Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, it's
What a
Steve
jerk.
Austin.
What
it's
a jerk. How can you praise him for that? I've been wanting to do this for 40 years, but finally technology has caught up to my brain. Peter Gabriel.
He's the technology wasn't there for whatever he wanted. It was something to do with like he wanted to like hook the musicians up to like their brainwaves up to the instruments or something. Like it was crazy. It seemed like science fiction, but like I encourage somebody to go out and look for that article. It was really interesting. Like I said, it was too complicated to like get into a topic about it. But it was interesting to think that like he's got the money and the resources to be like, this seems like it would be good. And I'm sure the people in the crowd will be like, this is nice. Like they're not gonna get it. It's kind of like when they talk about artists who make art for other artists and artists who make like art for people to actually consume. Like that's a thing, right? Like there are people who make movies for movie makers and people who make movies for audiences. It sounds like he's making music for like tech nerds.
But actually, great musicians and filmmakers are able to do things artfully and in a way that can be easily consumed as a product.
Phil Collins has to drag him down to earth.
Yes.
Phil Collins, you have to grab Peter Gabriel by the balls if necessary and say, listen to me.
Genesis wasn't just you, man. It was both of us. Like, we need Phil Collins now more than ever. He doesn't get to just bang the drum now that one time. That's like his job now. He plays In the Air Tonight, and he gets to like steal the glory from the drummer by doing the drum solo at the end, which just seems unfair to me.
It is unfair.
He gets to play the most iconic drum solo all by himself, and the drummer has to do all the rest of the work, the rest of the concert, but doesn't get the fun part. That's not good.
Peter Gabriel's just like, I've been wanting to replace you with a robot our entire
For
career,
years.
Phil.
Like,
Please.
Somebody can make a movie. Somebody will make a movie about that one day. Like that will be turned into like some type of like spec script about like a weird world where like two musicians are fighting and like generic musician A has been planning to get rid of generic musician B because of his ego.
That is brilliant.
We could do this.
Let's do it.
We could get an AI to write that. ChatGPT, get on it. So, like, one thing that would start to be interesting is like when we start seeing these scripts show up, is like we should have like a game like, can you spot the AI generated script or not? Like if they had to be honest about it and they had to disclose whether they used ChatGPT or any of these open source AI programs, like, and then like somebody can start looking it up and start having trivia nights. Did this movie did anybody do any AI rewrites with this script? And then people have to start guessing based on the movies they've seen whether this is one that had that in it.
Shazam 2, Velma.
Could have been it.
AI.
I would like to hear Christopher Nolan's take on this. I'm sure he has.
I think you can always tell.
I think Christopher Nolan would have a thoroughly British and pretentious take on this that I would love about how bad it is and how it's ruining art.
I don't know if it's ruining art, but I just believe in people's ability to always be able to tell if something is authentic. It's just unmistakable. The way that someone can't convince you that they're another biological sex simply by getting bones, millimeters of their bones shaved off. Your brain still makes countless micro calculations to perceive things. You're programmed to perceive. It's impossible to fake humor. It's impossible to fake beauty.
Yeah, but people are getting stupider and stupider. And what about ducks that fall for duck decoys? They see a wooden duck in the pond.
They're ducks.
I'm saying the people who watch Velma are stupider than ducks, is what I'm trying to say. Way stupider.
Well, we watched Velma, so what does that make us?
Yeah, but that was for work, though. That's different. That was for work. We could like if I had to go to therapy, we could write that off on the taxes. Like that's.
That's true.
Yeah.
Look, I just think this is one of those things where it'll be interesting to see whether the big name screenwriters will come out against it. Like I think Christopher Nolan will say it's an affront to art and nobody should be doing this.
Well,
and stuff
Spielberg
like that.
just said that.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you listen to Spielberg? Like this is a guy who's made every movie that's mattered over our lifetimes.
Yep. James Cameron will come out and be like, no, as much as I talk about high-end cinematography and CGI, we cannot have CGI scripts. That's not a thing.
I think Cameron actually would go for it. I hate to say it.
No, you're probably right. Like, or at the very least, I don't know, because he seems to be very like, he seems like, as much as he's into the computer-generated imagery, I think that he tells very basic stories. Like, in the end, most of Avatar is a very simple story. Avatar and Avatar 2 are very simple stories. So I don't think he's like, what you want to do is make a story that's good and simple so you don't need an AI program to write it.
I like that too.
Like
I like that idea.
Like it would be good to get back to a time when simpler is better. But I kind of disagree with you about Hollywood in this, because in the end of the day, Hollywood is a business. And for them, they're not looking for good art. They're looking for faster, quicker, more cost efficient. And that's exactly what all of this is.
You think that's
We've got a super chat from Dash Fortune that said, if you guys like the based comics and TMNT, I cannot recommend EVS Cyberfrog enough. Great to see you all this fine Thursday.
I do have the original. I have a piece of art from the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie back there. That's the one that April O'Neil draws of Leonardo when he's in the bathroom, when Raphael's in the bathtub in the first movie. And I do have the Last Ronin. I obviously didn't collect any of the Eastman or anything like that, but I did buy the Last Ronin because of all the big deal that came about when they released that recently, which is interesting. So
that seemed like a good idea.
That's one that would be great to see made live action, and bring back the animatronics and the rubber costumes to do a Last Ronin live action series or movie.
Whoever came up with that idea is a genius.
Yes. All right. Should we go on? Should we do super chats, or do we want to make fun of ChatGPT more? It's probably going to yell at us if we do this anymore. It probably can hear us.
Let's go to super
All right,
chats.
let's do it.
Corn Pop sent another sticker. It says, "Wait for it."
He loves stickers.
It's kind of ominous. Noah Sanders said, "Mary, Jack Conti is the CEO of Patreon. Just FYI."
Oh, okay.
But he's also a musician.
Okay. Oh yeah, because he was a musician first, right? And then that was I think we talked about that. Maybe not on here, but I've at least heard videos talking about how Patreon got started and grew to be a bigger corporation.
Terrible physiognomy, in my opinion.
There you go.
What is physiognomy?
It's like whether you look trustworthy.
Oh.
Like he looks distrustworthy. Cynic in Chief said, EVS and John Delarose are my top 2 favorite comic artists. EVS, if I'm ever in New Jersey, dinner is on me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Olivia Clare said, as a fan of The Office, it is so sad that Mindy Kaling is going full woke. Ironic that half the humor in The Office would probably offend her today. Well, that's something she's even said in interviews before, is that like
we would be
canceled for making The Office today. And it's true because of people like her.
Yeah.
So who's to blame? I mean, it's ironic to even point it out.
My favorite part now, watching House again for the 10,000th time, is watching how none of it would be allowed to be made today. Literally none of it. Maybe 8 to 10% of the episode, the cut scenes, like showing the outside of the hospital, might be able to be left in there. Everything else is a joke about someone's race, gender, sexuality, or like anything. But it was
just all of the dramatic pauses you can edit together, and that's left in.
There's just so much great stuff in there, but it was also also there's really, really great deep conversations that happen in there that are usually more tied to the idea of nihilism that I really enjoyed. The show is extremely cynical, but does it through the lens of like dark humor. But like there was a scene the other night that I was watching where Wilson has a cancer patient who finds out that they're not going to die and gets really upset about how he's not going to die because he's been having going away parties, and so now he's like everybody's like, people are gonna think I'm either a liar or like that I was just trying to get attention. So he's getting sued for not killing someone. Like I enjoy the idea that we can have like better scripts like that be written today, because most of the medical dramas that are made today are gosh awful. Gosh awful.
Jabba the creator said, "I'm here to infiltrate the Tim cast." It's not gonna happen, buddy.
You're gonna need to know the secret password and the handshake. Well, we can't give that out to anyone. So unless you know the secret handshake, you're not going to be able to get in.
I'm going to find out, Jabba, and I'm not telling you.
Jose M said, "I wonder who is more of a ya boy Zach fanboy, EVS or Brett?"
Look, I love the movie reviews. I love it because everyone hates his takes on movies, and everyone hates my takes on movies. So in that way, we're brothers in arms. That he can love the same things I love as far as films and stuff like that. His brain works the same way. He always has these scattershot ways of thinking of things, and then he brings the point around at the end of the video. That is how I wish my brain worked more consistently.
A lot of people listen to him. A lot of people in Hollywood listen to him. He's got a big audience.
Corn Pop sent a suitcase emoji.
Somebody also said tinfoil hat. I've never heard that one before. Tinfoil hat is good.
Yeah, but Trump said, "I was just kidding about Tim losing me, by the way."
Okay, good.
We hoped that you were serious.
Yes, we wanted you here, not you
mass
can't watch
exodus
both.
from IRL to pop culture crisis.
Like if
it's a zero-sum game.
If your time is money and you can only pick one, we hope you choose us. There's a $20 one right there.
Oh, yeah, but Trump said, "Might actually be my last super chat I will watch. I'm not even close to Elon money. So happy you're all here, but this is draining my bank account too fast. Y'all are too good. Kudos, hurrah, blessings to everyone."
Just thank you for showing up, man, and thank you for watching.
Hope you're not impoverished after this. Corn Pop sent
is that a suitcase?
Yeah, but after that, he sent a different one. I don't even know what
Corn
these
Pop
are
is just
anymore.
loving sending just random emojis.
And don't worry, yeah, but Trump, I did my thing where I auto-correct typos as I read the super chats. So I already corrected your typo for you. We have more emojis from Corn Pop. I don't really know how to read these out loud.
And then
buddy.
yeah, but Trump.
Yeah, but Trump said, "Y'all just mentioned Sherlock. My main takeaway from it was actually Rachel McAdams. She is classically beautiful." Was she in Sherlock?
Was she in the season where with his sister? With his sister, the later. I really checked out after the third series of Sherlock. It started turning into like a superhero.
Robert Downey Jr. or Benedict
I'm sorry. I was thinking of Benedict Cumberbatch.
I was too.
Yeah.
Was she in? Which one was she in?
She was in the Robert Downey Jr. one.
Okay, because I didn't remember her being in the.
I love
Cumberbatch one.
I love the one where they have where they talk about the rich guy who's got all the blackmail.
Cloud Roth said, "Here's a tip. You guys are awesome."
Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember reading. You remember because it was that one where he has like the guy who has the blackmail on everybody, and it's actually just a memory palace like Sherlock's, where he has like they're looking for where all the actual blackmail materials are, but it's actually just in his head. And they go to that property, and I remember reading like an 8. Like, I guess it would have been like the equivalent of like an 8-page spread about that house that they were in, because that property was enormous, right? And it was owned by some dude who owns like multiple castles in the UK, and now that place is usually just rented out for TV shows and movies, because it's like the property is so huge and ridiculous. Like, why would you want to live there?
Yeah,
it's almost too big.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love those seasons of Sherlock.
I watched the first 3. I think.
Ryan Tyler Palmer, inexorable word nerd, said, "Need Mermaid Siren remake where she lures sailors to their death and collects souls in a shrine to I don't know how to say that. Thulu? Yeah. I call it Disney's best film in 10 years.
There's like nothing Disney's made. The thing about Disney Plus is now everything on Disney Plus is along the same quality as like like The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride or whatever. Pride. What was that one called?
I don't
Simba's
remember.
like it was like I almost said Simba's Revenge. That would have been a big
Simba's
name.
Revenge.
That'd have been great. It was like Simba's Pride or something like that. Like nobody ever saw any of those ones, but they were always
Lion
on
King
the DVD.
2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's what it would have been. It would have been Electric Boogaloo. But I never saw any of those ones because there was no marketing put behind any of those straight to DVD versions of that. And
Yeah.
that's what most of that stuff is now.
Cash grabs.
Yep.
Corn Pop sent another rainbow. I guess this is his coming out message.
Thank you. You're free to be who you want to be here.
Shane Wilder said, I quit reading all comics and sold most of them years ago because of the way the industry was going, but I'm going to buy yours, Ethan. P.S. Brett is very loquacious in his tweets.
That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me. Next to Mary telling me that I dress politically neutral, which is still the greatest thing anyone's ever said to me. Calling me loquacious, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, but Trump said lower intel people don't watch this.
Is
Is that a command or just a fact? Low intel people don't watch Pop Culture Crisis.
Well, you know, we shoot for the highbrow art audience here, which is actually not true because I actually make fun of like a lot of the people, like anybody who like there's like people who have A24 tattoos. Like, can you imagine getting an A24
or a
studio
Marvel tattoo, whatever you're into, stop.
Don't get a tattoo of like something that's owned by like $1 billion holding company.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
The
for
A24 nerds, I do hate them more than the Marvel stans who like watch the post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
Very diligently
their
and
N95
obediently with their
masks on.
N95s strapped on. I almost hate the A24 nerds more.
It's art, bro.
Like you're a consumer.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's funny too because
Acting like you're deep and intelligent.
in a lot of ways, I'm exactly what Hollywood wants. I rail against the constant need for like highbrow art, like in Hollywood, where I'm just like, oh, you're not deep. It's not deep. It's not funny. It's not cool. Like it isn't high art to make everything depressing. Right? Like that's what it feels like now they've mistaken like actually making intelligent television in movies, in media with just
like,
making it depressing.
Here's this thing that fills you with existential dread and makes you want to kill yourself. That's what makes it art. Sorry, chuds.
The Last of Us game might have been high art. The television show is not high art.
Yeah.
The game is. The movie is. The show is not.
Yeah. Halls and the Kid said, submit to our impending robot overlords.
Eventually, yeah, we'll have to give in.
We'll have an AI generated graphic designer.
Go watch Person of Interest. You can figure out how to deal with AI with the AI uprising on that show. That's the best example of it.
You've got Japan spending billions of dollars right now making female companion robots. I think is a nice way to put it. Billions. It's cheaper just to make a real one than make a woman. I understand it doesn't cost anything to like create a human being, really.
That's true.
It's
yeah, but you
very
can
strange.
program the robot. The women harder to program.
It's easier than you think.
There's a $20 one from but Trump.
Oh, he said, OMG, that low intelligence thing was a joke. Sorry.
Oh no, we get it, man. Don't worry. We have fun here. It's all jokes here.
I didn't think that it was like rude or anything.
No, I didn't either.
Red Z said, Mary, are we having a moment? You keep staring at me.
Mary, you gotta stop staring.
Sorry.
And there's a $20 one from 1,000 Foot Deep End.
Said, another great guest and great show. I hope to see Ethan back as a guest. Here's a little extra money since I'll have to miss tomorrow's show live. Here's to another great show tomorrow. Until next week, Crisis Actors.
I really want a Crisis Actors shirt to be made. I don't know if they'll allow it on Teespring, but I want a Crisis Actors shirt.
Probably not allowed.
That's probably not allowed. Also, the saying about the eyes and looking back, it made me think of, have you ever seen, I was talking to somebody about the movie Heat the other night. Have you ever seen the movie Heat?
Love that movie.
It's, oh man, Between the Wire and Heat, me and you could talk about that for forever. But there's the scene at the beginning when the guy gets his eardrums blown out during the robbery of the armored truck, and he's like looking at the dude in the mask, and the guy's just staring back at him blankly because he can't hear anything. That's what I thought of when I was thinking that. I watched that movie fairly recently.
Yeah.
Also, a proof that you can make movies that are long and people can find them interesting. And it doesn't have to,
I never think of Heat as that long. That movie just goes right by.
no, and it's closer. It's pushing 3 hours. It's getting
Wow.
close to 3 hours. So.
I think we have confirmation from Corn Pop that was him coming out. He said, behind the scenes. He's DL.
Somebody needs to play the song "I'm Coming Out Now" without us getting copyright struck.
Mark Reyes said, Brett, think about it. They just need to feed all seasons of House MD into an AI. We get good episodes of House. Plus, those episodes won't be bad.
That's exactly right. It's funny too, because somebody pointed out that I didn't even remember that Tim had told this story. Like, that's how this show got started, because like we were like doing something one day for the vlog, and I was ranting about House, and like I was explaining like who the producer on a bunch of episodes were and why that season was better because that guy was producing. And I was like, he's like, why do you know that? Like, that's pointless knowledge. Like, why would you possibly need to understand that? And that's how this show came to be.
Red Z said, was kidding, but you have great broadcast presence.
Okay.
Thank you.
And there's a $20 one from Yeah But Trump.
He said, what I mean is I think people who want to know try to know.
Okay.
That's true. Bobcat said, you know the biggest problem with British punk music? London is calling every time I try to rock the... What is that? Casbah?
Casbah. Rock the Casbah.
With the guns of Brixton.
Means absolutely nothing to you.
I'm blanking.
Not an 80s kid.
What's wrong, Brett?
Okay.
It's a while back.
Okay.
That was sent.
Okay, there it is. All right, I got it there. Okay.
You good? Okay. Dash Fortune said, if you guys like... Or no, sorry, I already read that one.
And then we're down here to Dash Fortune
Dash
again.
Fortune said, Ethan, who or which is your favorite Lantern? As a character and as an artist, mine is Guy Gardner.
Oh, I love Guy Gardner. I really liked drawing Hal Jordan a lot. He's my...
There it is.
Thank you, guys.
And of course it interrupts him. Wait it out and then give your answer.
I will.
Wait it out and
Somebody
give the
paid
answer.
for it. Wow.
It's always intense.
Hal Jordan's my favorite. Kilowog was my favorite to draw. Love Kilowog.
Brofty said, great guest, PCC, buck, buck, buck.
See, the chickens are invading.
Wow.
Corn Pop sent us an ice cream cone emoji.
Thank you.
Other than that, I think we're all caught up.
All right, we're all caught up. All right. Thankfully, we don't have any more cringe of the day, so I think we're good to go. Ethan, my friend, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I loved it. I had so much fun, guys. Thank you.
Let everyone know where they can find you and promote. Promote.
Please follow me on Twitter at Ethan Van Sciver. And also join my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is called Comic Artist Pro Secrets. And we talk about Comicsgate, we talk about comics there, we talk about pop culture. And then also, please go to Indiegogo and back Cyberfrog Dark Harvest. Just do a Google search, it'll come right up. Cyberfrog Dark Harvest. And you can find all of my Cyberfrog books and merchandise. We have action figures coming. Oh, I should have brought them.
No, I saw. I looked at a bunch of the stuff on the stream about the action figures. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Oh my! It's amazing just to have your own action figure, and we're doing it because that's what crowdfunding can do. We have an audience who's helping us to make stuff that's better than Hasbro, better than Marvel, better than DC, and that's the future of Comicsgate. So yeah, go to our eBay store, Cyberfrog9, and you can catch up on all the Cyberfrog books up until now, and the toys, etc., etc. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was fun. I've never done this before.
Well, you are welcome to come back anytime.
Oh. Then you're gonna go to the political fuddy-duddy show and realize
boring.
This is where the real magic happens.
Boring. Nobody wants to talk about Joe Biden. Nobody wants to talk about politics. I don't give a crap about Putin.
Unless it's in reference to Velma.
Yes, unless I get to talk about Joe Biden in Velma.
We can steer it around that way. We can make Trump's arrest be about the MCU somehow.
It's possible. It's possible. Mary, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yes, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived and send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. I believe we're still planning on doing a meme review on Monday.
That is planned.
So go to our subreddit, post whatever memes, clips, edits, whatever you would like us to react to for our meme review, and we will curate a list of the best content to react to. And any of the new people here who haven't seen the show before, just subscribe.
Yes.
Just do it. Don't be rude. Do better.
That was my next line. I would say, guys, before we go, hit the like button on this video, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment on it. It helps us in the algorithm. Hit the notification bell. I hate that part because it always feels so cliche to say all that.
Ring that bell.
Exactly. You got to have like the sound effect after with the little click sound. Guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both. This show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Bye.